I always look forward to the Royal Rumble. It's one of my favorite events of the year. I look forward to it every year. And we've had some years where the Rumble is bad. We all have seen some horrible Rumbles before. I can name off the years. You know what they are. And I said, coming into this show tonight, on paper, it was a pretty solid card, right? Two big championship matches that I was looking forward to. You had Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. It's a match I've been waiting to see for years. I was very excited. That was the match I was looking forward to the most on this show tonight. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. A bit of a wonky setup, but you knew what you were going to get with those two. You knew you were going to get a very good match. And then you have the Royal Rumble matches. I like the Royal Rumble matches. I like having surprises in the Royal Rumble matches. I like not knowing exactly what's going to happen or necessarily who's going to win. So I went into the show with an open mind, and now that I sit here after midnight, very long night, try not to waste too much of your time here, I have to sit here and tell you that Royal Rumble pay-per-view, first of all, the pay-per-view overall, very disappointing. That men's Royal Rumble match that ended the show tonight, one of the worst Royal Rumble matches that I have ever seen. And I have seen every single Royal Rumble match that there is to see. That one was one of the worst. Not because of who won. There's going to be a lot of people who are upset that Brock Lesnar won the Royal Rumble. Well, if you've been listening to the podcast for about a month now, I've been telling you that Brock Lesnar should win and probably would win the Royal Rumble. So that should not have come as any kind of real surprise. That didn't even bother me. Because the destination for WrestleMania we know is going to be Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. We know that. We know that is going to be the main event on night 2 of WrestleMania. Or at least they will be two of the men in the main event that night of WrestleMania. I suppose they could always expand it to a triple threat and throw Seth Rollins in there. And I believe that the winner of the Royal Rumble should be the person who goes to the main event of WrestleMania. And if that's the match they want to do, then Brock Lesnar is the one who made sense. Not Drew McIntyre, not Big E, not AJ Styles, not Bad Fucking Bunny, Brock Lesnar. What offended me the most about this Royal Rumble is the lack of real creativity to it. The worst thing about that Royal Rumble match is that it was fucking boring. I mean, halfway through that Rumble, it was already one of the worst Rumbles I'd ever seen. I was hoping maybe in the second half it would pick up, and it just continued plodding on. Crowd could not give a shit about what was going on in that match. That crowd mirrored the reaction here in this house. The worst kind of match that you could have is a boring match. The worst kind of match you could have is one that's just sort of there. That's what the men's Royal Rumble match was this year. A complete and total bore fest. I actually thought the women's Rumble was kind of decent. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I thought the women's Rumble was a great match, because it wasn't. It was not a great match. It was better than the men's, but not by much. WrestleMania, of course, is right around the corner, and the Royal Rumble typically, most years, will bring clarity to this road to WrestleMania that they talk about. It will give us a sense of what we can expect at WrestleMania coming up in April. This show took steps towards doing that. We had Brock Lesnar, as I mentioned, who lost the WWE Championship to Bobby Lashley. Why? Because Paul Heyman turned on Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman has been saying for weeks, when he talked about Roman Reigns firing him, he has talked about this man in such a loving fashion. I did everything for you. I was committed to you. You were my one and only true love. All of the signs were there. Roman Reigns got involved in that match. Paul Heyman handed off the WWE Championship to him so he could use it as a weapon, and Bobby Lashley wins the title. Brock Lesnar comes back at the end of the night, number 30, throws everybody around, wins the Royal Rumble. Predictable, but I do think it was the right way to go. Roman Reigns at the beginning of the show met Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. 516 days for Roman Reigns as the Universal Champion. And you mean to tell me that you're going to take that title off of him when you're so close to WrestleMania? You've got a Texas Stadium WrestleMania coming up in a couple of months. You've made it this far, a year and a half. As the champion, you're going to take the title off Roman Reigns? That would have been foolish. Thankfully, they didn't do that. Now, the way that match ended, not necessarily the best finish. That was the best thing on the entire show. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. After that, it was all downhill. The Women's Rumble. Talk about clarity for WrestleMania. We don't know how things are going to play out for WrestleMania. The worst kept secret in wrestling was the return of Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey was in the Women's Rumble tonight, and as I said the other day, if Ronda Rousey is in the Rumble, there ain't no way she's not winning that match. You're not going to bring Ronda Rousey back, put her in the Royal Rumble, and have her lose. Ronda Rousey wins the Royal Rumble and goes to WrestleMania, but against who? Against who? Now, Meltzer would tell you that the match is going to be Ronda Rousey against Charlotte Flair. That is going to be the match of WrestleMania. Ronda has unresolved issues, of course, with Becky Lynch. We never did get that one-on-one match. Ronda will be on Raw this Monday night. I am sure that she is going to go one-on-one, face-to-face. She will confront Becky Lynch. They will tease the possibility of there being a WrestleMania match between those two. So we still don't know for sure what path she is going to choose. But the biggest possible match the WWE could have done on the women's side was not Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. It was not Charlotte Flair and pretty much anybody else. Alexa Bliss, who wasn't even on the show tonight. It was Ronda Rousey. If Ronda Rousey was coming back, you do Ronda Rousey against Becky Lynch. Well, we might not be getting that match. So there were some big things that happened on the show tonight. But the worst thing about this year's Royal Rumble, when I look back on this show, and as I go through this show here in this review, was how boring it was. Hardly anything really exciting happened on this show. But none worse than in that men's Royal Rumble match. That match was as much of a letdown as I have felt watching a Rumble in many years. And we're going to go through it all here. And I want to hear from you guys if you agree. There is a poll up on Twitter right now at Solomonster. We're going to check those results out a little bit later. Super chats are open. I already know we've had a whole bunch that have come in. We have more coming in right now. There's our 1992 super chat from Andrew Joylog. I'm going to read them all. I want to hear your comments. If you've got questions about Rumble, WrestleMania, the winners, the losers, whatever it might be, we'll hang out later and go through everything. If you are here for the Wrestle Rumble contest, we're picking 3 winners later in the stream who are going to get custom championship belts. I'm picking 3 names at random. It could be yours. We're going to do that a little bit later on in the stream. We had over 1,300 entries in that contest. So I thank you, and Wrestle Rumble thanks you for that. We got a lot to get to. So let's not waste any more time, other than I do want to just mention here before we go on, Gerald Murphy, one of our new channel members who just signed up for a channel membership. So Gerald, thank you very much. And Mr. AJ All Day, dropping a hundy bomb. Even when WWE disappoints me, even when WWE puts a sour puss on my face, I could always rely on you guys to cheer me up. Thank you, Mr. All Day. And Paul Hamilton, I did see that bomb. I'm going to get to you later. 44,390. That was the announced attendance for the Royal Rumble tonight. They were in St. Louis at the Dome at America's Center. They opened the show in a very big way. They opened the show tonight with a Universal Championship match. It was Roman Reigns, 516 days as the Universal Champion, going one-on-one, defending that title against Seth Rollins. The Usos barred from ringside. So Jimmy and Jay, they were not on this show. They would not be allowed to interfere in this match tonight. I thought they would open with Lashley. I thought they would open with Lashley and Lesnar to do the finish they ended up doing anyway. They just elected not to do it at the beginning of the show. I thought they would give Brock a little bit more of a breather, but they decided against it. Which I guess looking at what happened here in this match, I guess it made sense. Otherwise, you would have expected Brock to come out and interfere in Roman's match. So now we know why they did what they did. But the champion entered first, which I thought was unusual. And then we found out why when we heard the Shield theme song. Brings back memories. The Shield, one of my favorite acts in this company. One of my favorite all-time acts in this company. One of the things that this company got right was the Shield, one of the greatest units in the history of this company. Seth Rollins comes out, decked out in his old Shield gear, entering through the crowd, just like old times, laughing like a hyena. So Rollins caught him with 2 straight topes through the ropes to the floor. This got off to a hot start, this match. And he was flying around out there like he used to do in the Shield days, when he would get that hot, fiery babyface, comeback. And Rollins was flying around all over the place. He would dive out on one side, get back in the ring, dive out on the other. He was like a madman. We got a little bit of that Seth Rollins here in this match. Reigns stopped him in his tracks. They ended up on the floor. Rollins hit a Shield powerbomb. Now all of a sudden it's a Shield powerbomb officially. That's what they're calling it now. Hey, damn it, Dan. Damn it, Dan, you just dropped 150 on my head. What are you doing? What are you doing, damn it, Dan? So Rollins hit a Shield powerbomb through the announce table. It took 3 minutes into the opening match on this show to collapse the announce desk. And actually, I think that was the only time all night that the announce desk took any real abuse or collapsed. But Rollins quickly realized that he had to get Reigns back in the ring if he wanted to win the title. Can't win on a countout. So Rollins got him inside, hit the frog splash, only got 2. Rollins hit the buckle bomb, hit a curb stomp. This was a fantastic near fall sequence. Again, this match got off to a hot start. It was all action, and for a moment there, I thought that the match was won. I thought Seth Rollins had victory well in hand. Roman Reigns at the last possible second kicks out after the curb stomp. He did not get away unscathed, though. It looked like that curb stomp connected a little too well. He had a nice mouse welling up, a lot of swelling on the side of his left eye. So Reigns turned Rollins inside out with a clothesline coming out of the corner. He went to work. And Rollins is continuing to laugh at Roman Reigns. He is laughing at him. He is mocking this man. He is trying to get in this guy's head and just fuck with his mind as much as possible. Reigns hit a Superman punch. Seth kicked out. Reigns went for a spear. As he came in, Rollins caught him with a leaping pedigree. Now, we saw him use that spot. If you remember, in the title match of Money in the Bank, I guess it would have been 6 years ago, right? 6 years ago now? He did that exact same spot. That was right before Rollins pinned him to win the championship. That was the night that all 3 members of the Shield were WWE champion. Reigns came into the match as champion. Rollins won the title. Ambrose cashed in Money in the Bank, or Mox, as everybody is calling him now. So that's always a cool spot. And Roman, again, he kicked out at 2.99999. I don't know that there is anybody in wrestling right now as good as Roman Reigns when it comes to the art of those close near falls. There are some people that let it linger a little too long and it looks bad because the referee has to hold up. Reigns just nails it every single time. And in this case, again, I thought there were a couple of instances where I thought the match was won. Seth went for the stomp. Reigns grabbed him, set up for what looked like a rock bottom. Seth avoided it. And Reigns cut him in half, coming out of the off the ropes, rather, with a spear. Just cut this man in half. So Reigns was a little slow to crawl over. But he's going over now, inching over towards Rollins. And Rollins, again, looks up at him and is laughing at him. And he puts his fist out for the old Shield fist bump. And again, playing mind games, playing head games with Roman. I love the story they told here in this match. It wasn't just the action in the match itself. They told a story in this match, and it worked. And it was very good. And he was laughing at him again. He said, "I'll always love you." Reigns grabbed Rollins. He locked on the guillotine choke, and he locked this thing in deep. Rollins was inching his way towards the ropes, and it looked like he may have passed out. Now, this is where, I don't want to say this is where things completely fell apart, but this is where I think a lot of people are going to have an issue with this match. Because up to this point, this was great. And you're going to have a lot of people who are very upset because, the finish ruined the whole thing. I don't think the finish ruined the whole thing, but here's what happened. So it looked like Rollins was out. Charles Robinson is the referee. And he grabs Rollins by the wrist, and he picks his arm up. But he did it in such a way where when he dropped the arm, he basically dropped his arm on the bottom rope. So when he drops the arm, Rollins grabs the bottom rope, and the match continues because it's a rope break, even though it just looked like the referee placed his hand on the bottom rope. And so I thought, well, that didn't look good. I thought that looks very odd. Reigns, though, would not release the hold. Charles Robinson gave him until the count of 5, and when he did not break the hold, he had no choice but to throw the match out and disqualify Roman Reigns. And the Boo Birds came out in St. Louis. They were not happy at all about that finish. They did not want to see a cheap disqualification finish to this title match here at one of the biggest pay-per-views that WWE does all year. That's the kind of finish that you get in a TV main event. They didn't want to see it here at the Royal Rumble. He wouldn't let go of the hold. He kept that hold locked in for another 30 seconds. Would not release the hold. Finally, he lets go. Loud chants of Roman sucks. And I'm watching this and I'm just thinking, when Seth showed up on TV the other night, he was dressed in, last night, he was dressed in purple. He looked like the Joker. I even said in the review, he looks like the Joker. Well, the Joker got to Batman. The Joker got in Batman's head here and caused him to snap. And that was what we saw here with Rollins and Reigns. Reigns looked like he was in a trance. He went out to the floor. He went over by where the announcers and the timekeeper area is. He grabbed a chair. And he brought the chair into the ring, and they reproduced the Shield breakup scene. Only this time it was Roman hitting Seth in the back with a chair, and not the other way around, which was Seth hitting Roman when he turned on the Shield all those many years ago. So he wailed away on him a few more times, left the ring, decided to get back into the ring, gave him some more punishment with the steel chair. He actually broke the chair. He broke the top piece off the chair. This was not the ideal finish to a great match like that. I was more... Honestly, the thing that annoyed me the most, more than the DQ, was Charles Robinson dropping his fucking hand on the bottom rope. Now, maybe that'll play into some kind of a story that they're going to tell on TV. I don't think so. Even if it does, it did not look good. It looked ridiculous. Whether that was intended to play out that way or not, that was what annoyed me more than anything else. But I thought they told a great story. I thought the match itself was excellent. And when it was over, it made me want to see them run this match back again. Now, we know that it's not going to be one-on-one at WrestleMania because we know that Roman Reigns is occupied at WrestleMania. So that leads me to believe that we might get it in Saudi Arabia next month. They're going to do the Elimination Chamber show, right? Sweet Saudi Money 7 on the 19th. They're going to be back in Saudi Arabia. Maybe they do a rematch with Rollins and Reigns on that show. But I would absolutely love to see them back in the ring together again. The main thing I was happy about is that they didn't make the mistake of taking the championship off of Roman Reigns. I think that would have been the wrong move. And as we got closer to tonight, I was increasingly worried that that was what they were going to do. And I was happy that they didn't. So I enjoyed this. Despite the cheap DQ here, this was the best thing on the entire show. They peaked with what we had here in this opening match. This was great. And then we got to the 30-woman Royal Rumble match. Again, these Rumbles can be very hit or miss. There have been some, women's Rumbles that frankly just weren't very good. There have been some that were okay. This one is not going to be ranked as one of the better ones that we have seen. It had its moments. I thought it was mostly decent. There were a few, nice surprises in there. Out at number 1 was Sasha Banks, who came out dressed like Sailor Moon. Or maybe she was dressed like Sarray from NXT, because that's what everybody was saying when they saw that vignette with Sarray last week. Oh my God, they're dressing her up like Sailor Moon. She's got the pigtail. She's got the grandma's necklace. Somebody watch Sailor Moon. So I don't know who Sasha was cosplaying as. Maybe she was cosplaying as Sarray, but she came out at number 1. Number 2 was Melina Perez, the 2-time Divas champion, 3-time women's champion. And Sasha Banks immediately threw her out of the ring for the first elimination. But at least we got to see the old Melina entrance, right? That's what probably a lot of people were waiting to see the entrance anyway in the split. We got all of that, and at that point, she could have been eliminated. I guess it didn't really matter. Number 3 was Tamina. Number 4 was Kelly Kelly. There was a horrible tilt-a-whirl spot with the two of them. Kelly Kelly against Tamina. Kelly Kelly in the ring working spots with Tamina is the stuff of nightmares. So this did not look good. This reminded me of that match on Rampage last night. We had Jade Cargill against Julia Hart. Fucking terrible. Julia Hart, I mean, God bless her, but my God. It's just, that's what this kind of reminded me of here. Sasha got rid of Kelly, who you will be happy to know after 15 years still hasn't quite figured out how to run the ropes. Aaliyah was out at number 5. The Young Buck, as Jimmy Smith called her, which I find impossible because there weren't nearly enough super kicks. Liv Morgan was number 6. Queen Zelina was number 7. And then only seconds later, only seconds after she entered the match, Zelina Vega eliminated Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks, who just returned to TV on Smackdown as a surprise last night. Sasha Banks, who, up until this week, when all the Ronda Rousey news broke, and after what we saw tonight, seemed to be in line to challenge Charlotte at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And now it looks like that plan may be out the fucking window. But Sasha Banks, right? Big star, major star. I had her as my pick to win. Once she came back and I knew she was back, because I was going to go with Bianca. Once I saw that Sasha was going to be in the Rumble after all, I said, well, I'm going to go with Sasha. I was wrong on both counts. But Sasha Banks being eliminated that quickly, I mean, less than 10 minutes into the match, after entering at number 1, was beyond ridiculous. And what it reminded me of, the first thing I thought of when she went out of the ring, even the way that she was eliminated, when she got booted off the apron, reminded me, I swear to God, it reminded me of 2015. The Royal Rumble in 2015, when Daniel Bryan, was it by Bray Wyatt, I believe? The way that Daniel Bryan was eliminated in such a lackluster, nondescript way. I can't even say in the middle of the Rumble. It was like towards the early part of the Rumble. And it wasn't any kind of big dramatic elimination either. It's just, he was on the apron, he got knocked off, and it's like, all right, see you later. And I'll never forget it because Goldust was coming out next. And so Daniel Bryan is sitting on the ground, and he looks completely dejected. And then we get this wide shot of Goldust coming out next, and it just says, Shattered Dreams on the Titantron. And I said, I cannot think of a more poetic shot. You could have flashed Shattered Dreams on the big screen tonight, and it would have been like deja vu. So that was a very lackluster elimination for Sasha Banks. Shout out to Boucher in the chat who says, hit that like button. Yes, it will help the stream if you hit that like button. So please go ahead and do so. I thank you for that. But this sucked. Eliminating Sasha in the way that she was eliminated was absolutely ridiculous. I just sat here and I went, what in the actual fuck just happened here? Didn't even keep her in long enough to have any interaction with Charlotte after what we saw on SmackDown last night. You would think they'd do a few spots together. Sasha didn't come in, Charlotte rather, didn't come in until much later in the match. So, Sasha comes out, here comes Sailor Moon, she eliminates Melina, does a couple of spots, thanks for coming. Maybe she isn't fully healed. Maybe she was healed enough to be in the match, but not healed up from her bone bruise to do more than what she did. I'm grasping here. I'm grasping for reasons why you would eliminate her that way. Bianca Belair was number 8. Dana Brooke was number 9. Michelle McCool was out at number 10. And a thought occurred to me here. As I watched Michelle McCool come to the ring, a thought occurred to me. Why is it that we always see Michelle McCool, because this is at least her second Women's Rumble that she's been in. She's come back a few times. Why is it that we always see Michelle McCool, but we don't see Layla? Weren't they a combo, right? Didn't they share a women's champion? They literally cut a women's title in half and shared it on TV. We always, not always, but we see Michelle come back. We never see Layla come back. So it makes me wonder, if she left on the best of terms or not. I wonder what she's up to these days. But it didn't take long for McCool to bust out the Styles Clash. Jimmy Smith referred to Michelle McCool on commentary as a WWE Hall of Famer. And I'm thinking that that was not a slip of the tongue. I'm thinking that he may have let the cat out of the bag, or they did. And Michelle McCool may be going into the class of 2022. So as they begin to make Hall of Fame announcements in the coming weeks, that's a name to keep in mind. Because he very specifically called her a Hall of Famer. And so it makes me wonder if they may have spilled the beans on that a little early. Dana got knocked off the apron, but Reggie, her BFF, Reggie was on the outside of the ring. Reggie caught her, placed her back into the ring. Out at number 11 was Sonya Deville. I don't even know what her title is. I mean, we know that she's an executive. She's got executive powers here in this company, but she's not a general manager. I don't know what you would call her. I guess you would just say that she's an authority figure, I guess. I don't know. But she was out at number 11. She entered herself into the match last night after losing to Naomi on SmackDown. But instead of taking her jacket off, she elected to go and sit at the announce desk. She was in no hurry to get into this match. So long as her magical jacket is on, she can't wrestle. When the jacket comes off, she's a superstar. When the jacket is on, she's an executive. So that's how it works. Natalya was number 12. She eliminated her old partner, Tamina, as Tamina was trying to dump Bianca out over the top rope. Bianca held on. Tamina did not. Tamina lasted longer in this Royal Rumble than Sasha Banks did. Think about that. Number 13 was Cameron of the Funkadactyls. Somebody call her mama. Haven't seen Cameron in a long time. Cameron must have been very, very upset. Cameron must have been extremely upset that Melina was eliminated at the beginning of this match before she had a chance to come out to the ring. I mean, after all, Melina was part of her favorite match of all time. Melina was one half of the greatest match that this woman had ever seen. Right? Melina one-on-one against Alicia Fox. So she must have been very upset. When Sonya realized that Cameron was friends with Naomi, she decided to take her jacket off and get into the ring and beat the crap out of her. And she eliminated Cameron, number 14, conveniently enough. Number 14, here comes Naomi. And Naomi comes out. She does not look happy about what just happened. She comes down to the ring. She goes over to check on Cameron. Gets into the ring, goes right after Sonya. Naomi nailed Sonya with a kick right to the head. That knocked her out to the floor. And so for the second night in a row, Naomi gets one over on Sonya Deville. Number 15 was Carmella. Number 16 was Rhea Ripley, who was a finalist in last year's Royal Rumble. It came down to her and Bianca. And actually, I love that. Now that I think about last year, I mean, there aren't that many matches I could think of that I would consider to be, great matches from that Thunderdome pandemic era that I feel like I'm going to go back and watch again. But I did think, because I just, wrestling has to be in front of a crowd. It has to be in front of an audience and not an empty arena and not a fucking, blank screen. But I did love the Women's Rumble last year. It came down to those two, and I think Charlotte as well. So you couldn't really know for sure who was going to win that match. Last year's Women's Rumble had that air of unpredictability to it because it came down to the three most obvious names who would have a shot at winning. So actually, I really liked the finish of last year's Women's Rumble more than I did anything I saw in either of the matches this year. But Rhea Ripley came in. She grabbed Carmella, who still had not entered the ring. She was busy putting on her mask on the outside. So she threw her into the ring. Ripley double drop kicked Carmella and Zelina out to the floor. So she single-handedly eliminated the women's tag team champions. And then out at number 17, I just mentioned her name, the Queen Bee of WWE, the SmackDown Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair, out at number 17 in this match. She quickly dumped out Aaliyah, who lasted 23 minutes. Aaliyah lasted longer than Sasha Banks. Charlotte tried to eliminate Naomi, who was hanging out of the ring. She was touching the floor with her hands. She was only doing a handstand almost. But her legs were still up against the ring, up against the ring apron. Sonya Deville pops back up, even though she had already been eliminated a few minutes before this. She must have been obviously hanging around ringside. She sees Naomi, who's doing this handstand, trying to, keep her balance and try to push herself back into the ring. And Sonya grabs her by the arms and she yanks her out to the floor. And both feet hit the floor. So Sonya Deville gets her revenge on Naomi and eliminates her. Still fucking with this woman. Still fucking around with her. Don't know why. Still don't know why Sonya Deville has such a beef with Naomi. I don't think they're ever going to bother explaining it. I think it's been going on for so long now that we just have to learn to accept that there is something about this woman that Sonya doesn't like. Is it the way that she acts? Is it the way that she dresses? Is it the way that she looked at her in the hallway once? Is it something about her physical appearance? We don't know. Did she steal her well, not her boyfriend, I guess, but we don't know. We don't know. We have no idea. Number 18 was Ivory, who came out to the old Right to Censor theme music, and I have to say, this woman has not aged a day since the last time I saw her on TV. This woman is a fucking vampire. Ivory, yeah, she was all buttoned up like she used to come out dressed as part of Right to Censor. This woman is 60 years old. This woman is almost as old as Sting and Arn Anderson. And you would never know it. I mean, she looked exactly the same. 60 years old, this woman. She comes out and she cuts a promo on her way down to the ring, into the ring. She's got a mic in her hand. She's cutting a promo. Rhea Ripley is tickled by this. She's smiling and laughing at this. This was just a pure comedy spot. Rhea immediately dumped her out to the floor. Number 19 was next. They counted down to number 19, and oh my God, it's Brie mode. I heard that music, and I swear to God, I mean, it's like war flashbacks for me. I heard that music, and that damn song, that goddamn song. She threw up the fingers once she got in the ring, and the entire building started doing the yes chant. She had the whole building doing the yes chant. Number 20. Number 20 in this match was the Impact Knockouts champion, Mickie James. Mickie James out to her hardcore country theme. So they even let her use her Impact music. That's the song that she used. It is. She never used hardcore country in WWE, right? She sings that song. I think, doesn't Mickie sing that song herself? I think. So she came out to hardcore country, and yes, she was wearing the Knockouts title around her waist. And even on the lower third on the screen, when they put her name up, it said Impact, I think it said Impact Women's Champion. Now, I'm sure, or it said Impact Champion, I think, but I am sure that there are going to be Impact fans who are very bothered by this. Thank you, by the way, artist formerly known as Natural Born Thriller, for the 1992 Ric Flair Super Chat. There are going to be Impact fans who are very upset because they put that on the screen and it didn't say Knockouts Champion. It said Impact Champion. She's not the Impact Champion. She's the Knockouts Champion. Be lucky they let her even wear the belt out to the ring. This was a big night if you were an Impact fan, right? You got to see your belt represented at the Royal Rumble. Let's not quibble over what the text was on the screen. I'm sure there'll be some people who are upset about that. And right away, she took Michelle McCool out over the top rope to the floor. Number 21 was Alicia Fox. Oh, Cameron. My God. As if she wasn't already going to be upset that Melina was eliminated at the very beginning of the match. Cameron was already dumped out, and now the other half of her favorite match of all time, her other hero, Alicia Fox, comes out, and there's no Cameron. She missed both of these women. She could have had a moment with them in the ring. She must be devastated. Number 22 was Nikki ASH, who did not come down the aisle. She snuck up behind Rhea Ripley and tried to blindside her and tried to eliminate her. She was unsuccessful. Now, I drew number 22 in our Royal Rumble pool that we do every year in the Facebook group, so I already knew at this point that, I was going to have to wait until the men's Rumble because I wasn't winning shit with this woman coming out at number 22, so I already knew that. Number 23 was WWE legend, Summer Rae, who did not last long either. Natty dumped her out pretty quick. I think it was Natty and Charlotte. Number 24 was the longest reigning Divas champion in history, Nikki Bella, who never thought she would wrestle again. Nikki Bella had a very serious neck injury. She couldn't get medically cleared. This was like her moment, like her brother-in-law coming back, or Edge coming back after 9 years. This was Nikki Bella's big moment. She didn't get as big of a reaction as you would have expected. Whether or not you like the Bella twins, they had their fans, and when the Bellas would come out, they would usually get a big reaction. There were a lot of things on this show that I was expecting to get a bigger reaction than it did. This was not the only person to come out and get kind of a tepid reaction, or at least that's how it came across on TV. Both sisters took out, not took out, but they took down. I would have been on a fucking rampage if the Bella twins eliminated Bianca Belair. They took down Bianca. They eliminated Alicia Fox. Number 25 was former Riot Squad member Sarah Logan. We got to see Sarah Logan, who was fired. Was it last year? I think it was last year. They fired so many people over the last couple of years. It all kind of runs together. They come in waves, right? WrestleMania is coming up in a few months. They're going to do it again. They're going to have their annual spring cleaning. I think it was last year that she got fired. So they brought her back for the Rumble, and she was about to share a very tearful reunion in the ring with her fellow former Riot Squad member, Liv Morgan. They showed Liv and they showed Sarah, and they were about to come together. And then who should ruin the moment? Who else? Who else? It was interrupted by the Bella twins. Quickly eliminated Sarah Logan. She literally didn't do anything. This was almost like, hey, do you want to come visit old friends? And then she showed up and they're like, well, since you're here, you got 60 seconds to spare. We'll just put you in the Royal Rumble match. So the Bellas eliminated her, and then they eliminated Liv Morgan. And all I could do... Oh, my goodness. You know, I had people who, even up until this week, Liv Morgan fans, a lot of Liv Morgan fans. Liv Morgan has her fans, I will say that. There were a lot of people, even up until this week, who were trying to convince me that Liv Morgan was going to win the Women's Royal Rumble. She was going to be the underdog to go in there like the little engine that could. She was going to go in the Rumble, and she was going to win because she's been getting the big push on TV, right? At least up until a few weeks ago. And by God, she's going to win the Rumble. And when she meets Becky Lynch again at WrestleMania, they're saving her title win for WrestleMania. And I thought these people were simply, disturbed. Because who in their right mind can see the way that they booked Liv Morgan on TV over the last month? All the times that she lost, not just to Becky Lynch, but even in other like number one contenders matches on TV, in multi-woman matches, she was the one eating the pin. And they still believe that Liv Morgan was getting a push and was going to win the Royal Rumble. I mean, those are some delusional, devoted fans. There are some wrestlers who are very lucky and very fortunate to have loyal, devoted fans who will follow them to the ends of the earth, even in a situation like this, when logic would dictate that this woman has no fucking chance of winning this match. They will go down in flames if need be. They will go to the ends of the earth to convince people. Oh, no, she's going to win the Royal Rumble. I heard that from people about Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss is going to show up in the Royal Rumble and win. And she's going to get her revenge on Charlotte Flair. I got a few emails about that. Alexa Bliss wasn't even in the match. She wasn't even on the show. I found that very funny. But hey, look. She had a good run. 37 minutes. Liv Morgan lasted 37 minutes in this match. Number 26 was Lita, who got a big reaction. She eliminated Mickie James and then came face to face with Charlotte Flair. Number 27 was Mighty Molly, who I figured would make an appearance since she works for them as a producer backstage. But as she was about to enter the ring, Nikki Ash blindsided her. The other wannabe superhero came in and blindsided her and threw her into the ring steps. She threw Molly into the ring and then dumped her right back out. Number 28 was the worst kept secret of the week. Number 28 in the Women's Royal Rumble, Rowdy Ronda Rousey, making her first appearance since WrestleMania 35. For those who missed it, the reports are that she has signed a year-long contract, which I think is about the length of time that she was in last time, right? She debuted at WrestleMania 34, had that great match. It was her and Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie. That was the best match of WrestleMania that year. And then WrestleMania 35, that was her last match, and she was gone. So it's the same thing here. So she's going to be around. She's not, one and done type of thing for Mania. She's here to stay for at least a year. So she eliminated Nikki ASH. Brie Bella knocked her sister off the apron. She eliminated her own sister. Number 29 was Shotzi Blackheart. Rousey eliminated the other Bella. So a bad night for Twin Magic. I don't think this is the last that we've seen of the Bella Twins. So if you are not a Bella fan and you're like, oh, thank God, they're gone, they're over, they're done. I have a feeling that at WrestleMania, we're going to have the Bella Twins win the women's tag team titles. Or at some point, the Bella Twins, they want those women's tag team titles. And what they want, they shall have. Unless their name is John Cena. But what they want, they shall have. So I think it's only a matter of time before they have those belts. So that left one final entrant in this match. It was no surprise who it would be if you go by the graphic. Number 30 was Shayna Baszler, who has new shitty, generic-sounding music. One of the things that we learned tonight, by the way, in these men's and women's Rumble matches, as we heard the music when people would make their entrance, is how god-awful the theme music has become. I mean, they had some really good theme music, and they've changed some of the themes, and the themes seem to be getting worse. They're not getting better, they're getting worse. So her music sucks. She comes out, and for the first time, we got a confrontation. We got these two women in the ring. I don't even think they've shared the ring together. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, right? The four horsewomen outside of WWE. They were all the talk about they're going to do horsewomen against horsewomen. Well, Rousey and Baszler have been friends for years, but they never interacted on WWE television, at least not in the ring. So this was the first time we got to see them in the ring together, which I thought was cool. They were about to square up when Charlotte ruined it and attacked Baszler. Rousey eliminated Shotzi. Bianca Belair eliminated Natalya. Rousey grabbed Bianca, tried to dump her. When Natty got back in the ring, she tried to eliminate Rousey. So Ronda simply threw her out of the ring again. I guess she's going for another Guinness World Record for the most eliminations as far as being eliminated. Mick Foley holds the record. She's not going to beat Mick Foley's record. Mick Foley was once in the Royal Rumble 3 different times and still did not win. Lita dropped Charlotte with a twist of fate. She went up for her moonsault, which is a fucking dumb move to do in a Royal Rumble. She was going to hit the moonsault on Rhea Ripley. Rhea got up and shoved her off the top, but Lita landed on the apron. But then here comes Charlotte Flair, charging in with a big boot. And she boots Lita. The running boot knocks her off the apron to the floor. Charlotte did the same thing moments later to Rhea Ripley. One of these days, Rhea Ripley is going to get one over on Charlotte Flair. One of these days, Rhea Ripley is going to get her moment over Charlotte. Just let it play out, guys. Just remember what Triple H, was it Triple H on one of those conference calls? I think way back when, who was talking about this. Because Rhea lost at WrestleMania a couple of years ago to Charlotte. And they had a few other matches, but nobody remembers those matches. They remember WrestleMania. And I think Triple H said something along the lines of, you gotta let things play out. There's a longer story here. There's like a longer story arc. I'm still waiting. It's been 2 years. I guess it's still playing out. We have to let it play out. I'm sure WWE will give us the proper payoff at some point. You just got to let it play out. Shayna locked the Karafuda clutch on Bianca, but she used the ropes to flip her way out of it. And she got Baszler up in position for the KOD. But here comes Charlotte Flair, who dumps both women out of the ring. Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair eliminated by Charlotte Flair. And that left 2. Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. Charlotte came charging in with a boot. Ronda ducked it and grabbed her and slowly lifted her over the top rope, and Charlotte fell to the floor. Ronda Rousey wins the Women's Royal Rumble. Ronda Rousey will choose the champion that she wants to challenge at WrestleMania in April. What I assume will be the main event of night one of WrestleMania. I thought that finish was, especially compared to last year, I thought that finish was very anticlimactic. I just the way the finish went, I just thought was very anticlimactic. Now, I said earlier, Meltzer is claiming or reporting that the match, the plan right now for WrestleMania is Charlotte one-on-one against Ronda Rousey. And that has more to do with them wanting to give Fox a big star on SmackDown. And I can believe that. So I do believe that the plan right now is very likely Charlotte Flair against Ronda Rousey for that reason alone, that they want to make nice with Fox, and they want Ronda Rousey on SmackDown and not on Raw. Although Ronda will be on Raw this Monday, but that's just, they have to tease it, right? Who is she going to pick? She's got to have at least one segment on TV with Becky to tease the possibility of a match. I don't know why you would want to tease that match if you're not going to do that match. But then again, they were on television a few weeks ago teasing a champion against champion unification match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. And everybody thought, we're going to get a unification at WrestleMania. No, we're not. We were never going to get a unification at WrestleMania. They're not ending the brand split. Are you out of your fucking mind? They were never doing champion against champion. Champion against champion only makes sense if you're going to do a unification or you just want to have one champion. They're not getting rid of one title over the other. Well, why would they tease a match if they're not going to do it? Why do you even have to ask that question? This is WWE. They do shit like that all the time. But now they're going to tease it out. Who is Ronda going to pick? But ultimately, she'll be on SmackDown and probably choose Charlotte Flair, and that's going to be the match at WrestleMania. And if Becky is not wrestling her, then you know what? The good thing is, that means Bianca Belair can still challenge Becky Lynch and get her revenge for SummerSlam and can win the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte and Ronda is not a bad match. I'm not shitting on the possibility of a Charlotte and Ronda match. Charlotte and Ronda had an excellent match at Survivor Series in 2018 when Nia Jax potatoed Becky in the face and basically broke her fucking face, caved her face in. It was supposed to be Becky against Ronda at Survivor Series, and Nia Jax changed the course of wrestling history. And so instead we got Charlotte against Ronda, and I think it was like a shitty DQ finish, I think. But the match itself was great. So I don't doubt that those two can go out there and have a very good match. But Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey still have unfinished business. Now, if Ronda's back for a year, they can always do the match later on. They could always do the match at SummerSlam. They could build the match for WrestleMania in Los Angeles next year. Right? Make that a really big show. You know they're going to try to get The Rock. They want The Rock. Rock against Roman Reigns for WrestleMania next year. Maybe they save Becky and Ronda for next year. But there were no NXT women in the Rumble. That was surprising. I don't think there was a single female representative from NXT. Actually, there were no NXT talents at all, I think, in the men's Rumble, too. There was no LA Knight. There was no Braun Breaker or anybody like that. PW Insider says that Oksana, Caitlyn, and Jillian Hall were all brought in for the show. They were there. They were backstage. Oksana posted something from the stadium earlier today, I think in her Instagram stories. But none of those three actually appeared in the Rumble. I think they brought some extra people in case, somebody went down because of COVID. I mean, look what happened at day one with Roman, right? So it's smart to bring in some extra bodies, but, if you're one of those women, it sucks, right? Because they bring you in, you think you're going to be in the Rumble, or you might be in the Rumble, and then you're basically a bench warmer, sitting in the back. Not that any of those three were going to win, but they were there, they just were not used. I thought that the Rumble overall was decent. The word that I wrote down here, I said decent Rumble. I didn't hate the match, but it wasn't terribly good either. It had some entertaining moments. It was a decent Rumble, but what it did was it highlighted just how painfully thin the women's rosters are right now on Raw and SmackDown. Getting somebody like Ronda Rousey back will be a help. It'll be helpful, especially if she's on television every week or almost every week, and it's not just the little appearances here and there. So that'll help a little bit. But even with Ronda, these rosters are painfully thin. And that was never more apparent than it was in this Rumble match here tonight. Shout out to everybody who is joining. We are live here. This is the Royal Rumble review here for 2022. You see it in the title of this video. I have not gotten to the men's Rumble yet. I'll be getting there here in a little bit. Not a fan of that main event. But next up, we had Becky Lynch, who I was just talking about. Becky Lynch defending her Raw Women's Championship against Doudrop. I do see all of the super chats. We got them coming in fast and furious here. I'm going to be reading each and every single one of them. I thank you for the support. I thank you, by the way, for choosing me for your Royal Rumble coverage. Royal Rumble is always one of the biggest streams of the year. So we had Becky against Doudrop. The bell rang at 10-10 here on the East Coast. It was almost 10 o'clock at night when these two women were in the ring getting ready to start this match. And we still had two more matches, plus the men's Rumble. So you already knew at this point that this was going to be a long night. This was going to be a very long night. Nobody cared about this. Nobody cared about this match. Now, it didn't help that in the middle of this match, reports started coming in that the WrestleMania sign that hangs above in the arena was on fire. There was a fire that was sparked on the sign was melting because when the pyro shot off, the sign, part of the sign, the back of the sign caught fire. And so the sign was melting. And I saw a video from somebody who was sitting in that section and you could see sparks and little pieces like little flames falling off the sign. So they had to evacuate that entire section and they had to lower the giant WrestleMania sign. So that obviously was a distraction for this crowd, but I am not going to sit here and say that the only reason that these people were not interested in this match was because the sign was on fire. Because that's not the only reason that people were not into this match. Although I was wondering, as I saw the video of them lowering the sign, I thought, well, what's the winner of the main event going to point to? Whoever wins that men's match, what are they going to do if they don't get the sign back up? Well, they're not going to know what to point to. Everybody is supposed to point at the sign, right? Everybody's got a point. You'll be happy to know they got the sign back up before the show is over. It's very important to get that sign back up. Becky caught Doudrop hanging over the middle ropes and was laying in some strikes. So Lynch ended up hitting Doudrop with a leg drop from the ropes. Doudrop was sort of hanging on the top rope. And Becky knocked her off. Only got a 2 count. A little while later, Becky cut off Doudrop and hit a manhandle slam from the middle rope. Doudrop was trying something from the ropes, and again, Becky cut her off, hit a rock bottom, is what it is. Hit a rock bottom off the middle rope and got the win. They worked hard. Again, I don't really have a lot to say beyond that. I could go through all the different spots in the match, but, the match, they worked hard. They weren't, sitting there in fucking chin locks and rest holds. They tried. They put the effort in. The effort was there. The crowd was not reciprocating. This just came off as a very dull match. That's what it was. It's a very dull, slow match. And again, I don't want to blame the sign stuff as the only reason. The whole dynamic of this match was off. It was heel against heel. Doudrop has been booked and portrayed on television as a heel. Becky Lynch, as hard as they're trying, is portrayed as a heel on television. And we already kind of had that in the opening match. I mean, Roman and Seth, they made it work and the people were into it. But it's still weird, when you have two people and the fans aren't really sure who they're supposed to be cheering for. Who are we supposed to be rooting for to win this match? So that hurt the match. That's the main thing, I think, that hurt the match. The other thing that hurt the match, nobody believed that Becky Lynch was going to lose. In the opening match, you thought that Roman Reigns might actually lose the Universal Championship. In this match, there could not have been a person in that building, and if they say that they did, they're lying to you, who thought that Doudrop was going to walk out as the Raw Women's Champion. No way did anybody, other than Doudrop's family members, did anybody think she had a shot in hell at winning this match. So there was no drama. Heel against heel, no drama about the finish, and oh, by the way, the sign is on fire. So they had everything working against them in this match, and it ended up being a disappointing match. The effort was there, but I just could not get into this. But then we had the match that I was waiting the most for. I was waiting for this match not only the last few weeks. I've been waiting for this match for a number of years, ever since Bobby Lashley came back to WWE in 2018. I've been waiting for them to do this match, and it just didn't seem like they were interested. Bobby has talked about how he wanted to wrestle Brock. Brock, I don't think, had ever commented on it publicly one way or the other. So either Brock didn't want to do it, or Vince McMahon just didn't see it as a marquee match. It took Roman Reigns getting COVID in order for us to get to this point, because if he doesn't get sick and miss that match at day one, then we don't get Bobby Lashley against Brock Lesnar on this show. So I'm sorry that Roman got sick. That sucks. But hey, we ended up getting the match, right? That's all that matters. The video package hyping this up was tremendous. I love the video packages they put together, promoting and hyping this like a fight, right? Two guys that have legitimate fight backgrounds, two guys that have legitimate wrestling, amateur wrestling backgrounds. A lot in common, two big guys, right? Brock is not often in the ring with somebody who's as big or bigger than him. And again, I go back to that match that Brock had with Bill Goldberg at WrestleMania 33. You know, they stunk out the joint at WrestleMania 20, but at WrestleMania 33, they came out there in 6 minutes, they beat the hell out of each other, and it was a lot of fun. So I didn't expect this to go long. This actually went longer than that match did, but I've been waiting for this for a long time. They started with a long lockup. They were jockeying for a position, which ended in a clean break. They locked up again. Brock hit the first German suplex of the match, and Lashley, he popped right back up. No sold it. And Brock was laughing. He had a big smile on his face. He was amused by this. Lashley then reciprocated with a German of his own. He dropped Brock Lesnar right on his fucking head. Right on his head. Now, they showed a replay of it, and it was more kind of on the shoulder, but he definitely woke Brock up with that move, and Brock popped up, and Brock was all red in the face, and he was trying to laugh it off. So we got two Germans from Lesnar, and again, you know, I'm surprised Brock doesn't just move to Germany at this point. All the times that we see this guy doing Germans on TV, surprised he never spent some time over there. So two Germans from Brock, and again, Lashley right back to his feet. Lashley delivered a series of right hands. No more grappling. Right now, the fighting begins. Lesnar goes for an F5. Bobby slips out, catches Brock coming off the ropes with a spear. Follows that up with a second spear. And now, all of a sudden, it's reminding me of the Bill Goldberg match from Survivor Series, when Goldberg came back and beat him in 80 seconds or 89 seconds, whatever it was. Lashley set up for a spear outside the ring through the barricade, which I think he hit the move to Brock at day one a few weeks ago. Well, he didn't hit it this time. Brock had it scouted. He moved out of the way. Lashley came barreling. He came careening through the barricade. And Lashley eventually got back up. He shoved Brock face first into the ring post, got him back into the ring. Lashley charges into the corner, and again, he misses. And he posts himself shoulder first in the corner. Lesnar hits another German, and this time Bobby is not so quick to get up. He gets up, but he's not so quick to get up. Lesnar with another German suplex, and I wrote, the crowd is unusually subdued. So even this match, which I was very much looking forward to, and I thought had kind of a big fight feel to it, and I thought a lot of other people would be excited, and I think they were, but even this match, at this point, the crowd just didn't seem to care all that much. I mean, it was almost like a hush had fallen over the crowd. It wasn't like they were really up and energetic and excited for this match. This seemed to be a recurring theme throughout this entire show. Lesnar hit a third German, and then a fourth, and then a fifth. Brock was counting them out loud each time. Lashley kept landing on his shoulder. He took these suplexes very awkwardly, like he was maybe trying to avoid landing on his back or his neck a certain way. So every time he would land with one of these suplexes, it was like, you know, it's kind of like Ric Flair landing on a back body drop. Probably because of the plane crash all those years ago. He wouldn't take flat back bumps on his back. So when somebody would backdrop him, or if somebody caught him on the top rope, right, and did that spot where they threw him down, he would always land kind of on his side. It was almost like Lashley was trying to do the same thing here, and it just looked very awkward. But Brock was ready to call it quits. He was ready to call it a day and deliver an F5. Lashley slipped out, and he locked on the Hurt Lock. And he had Brock in the Hurt Lock for a while. Felt like forever. It was probably more like 30 or 40 seconds, maybe. He had him locked in the hold. Brock finally broke it by ramming Lashley backwards into the corner, but in doing so, he sandwiched the referee in the corner. Now, the referee was not rendered unconscious, although he would soon be rendered unconscious. The referee was still up. But when Brock picked up Lashley and went for the F5, as he went to execute the move, he was a little too close to the ref. Lashley's legs hit the referee in the face, and the referee took a bump outside to the floor. Brock got the visual pin on Bobby, but there was no referee to count the 3. So Brock gets up to his feet, and as Lesnar is looking down to Paul Heyman, I don't know if he was looking at Paul or if he was looking at Lashley, but he was looking at something outside the, or not Lashley, but the referee. Whatever he was looking at, he's looking outside the ring, and now there's a commotion. So somebody is coming out. And I thought it was the Usos, because the Usos were not allowed to interfere in the opening match, but nobody said they couldn't interfere in this match. So, if my idea was correct, and I figured Heyman was turning here, and he was probably with the bloodline all along, well, maybe here come the Usos. Well, it wasn't the Usos. It was their cousin. It was the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns. And when Brock turns around, Roman spears him and takes him down, and then Roman looks down at Paul Heyman on the outside. And Roman walks over to the ropes, and he extends his arm, he extends his hand like he wants something. And Heyman has the WWE Championship in his possession. He willingly hands the WWE title over to Roman Reigns. And at that point, it becomes obvious what's going on here, is that Paul Heyman was always with Roman Reigns. Either he was always with him, or they just recently reconciled. But either way, Paul Heyman was turning for the second time in his career, turning against Brock Lesnar. 20 years ago, this very year, this November, Survivor Series, Madison Square Garden, Paul Heyman turned on Brock Lesnar and cost Brock Lesnar the WWE Championship. 20 years later, Paul Heyman cost Brock Lesnar the WWE Championship. Roman takes the title. He nails Lesnar in the head with it. Bobby Lashley, he crawls over on top of Brock. Referee gets back in the ring. He steals the pin. And Bobby Lashley, for the second time in his career, is the WWE Champion. 10 minutes. I used my stopwatch on my iPhone. I wanted to see how long this match went. It went right about 10 minutes. Longer than I thought. I figured this was going to be 6 or 7 at the most. The problem is that, it went 10 minutes, but until Roman came out and they did the big swerve at the end, and I hate to say it because, again, I was really looking forward to the match. The match itself was very disappointing. I thought the match was pretty boring on the whole. I was not impressed at all with the actual match. And for 2 legitimate wrestlers, and I know they're in their 40s now, they're not as young as they used to be. And I know Brock has his formula, right? I mean, if I keep waiting for Brock Lesnar to bust out some of those old wrestling moves he used to do, during his first run, I'll be waiting forever, right? He's been back in this company now for a decade. He doesn't do that anymore. Brock doesn't do the Brock lock. He doesn't do a lot of that old shit that he used to do. He just doesn't do it. He could do it if he wants, but he just chooses not to. He's like Hogan. Hogan was a completely different wrestler when he went to Japan because he knew he had to be. So you would watch a Hulk Hogan match in Japan. This guy's doing fucking enziguris and drop toe holds, and he's wrestling. In this country, he didn't have to do any of that shit. All he had to do was the bare minimum. And sell, and sell, and sell, and pose, and eye rake, leg drop, pose. That's all he had to do. Brock knows what he has to do. and what he doesn't have to do. But because of their wrestling background, I was kind of hoping that maybe we would see them take it to the mat a little bit more and sort of inject some new, some new stuff into this. We didn't get any of that. But the match itself played out just as I said it would. When I did my predictions, and I've been talking about this for weeks. As far as what I think should happen, I thought this was going to happen at day one. This goes back before day one that I was talking about Heyman turning on him, Brock then coming out later and being in the Rumble and winning. Like, I outlined all of this shit like 5 or 6 weeks ago. And, maybe it would have happened sooner at day one, and then he got sick and they had to delay it, but it happened tonight. And it played out pretty much exactly the way that I thought it would. Even though I wasn't really overly impressed with the match, it was the right outcome. And I know some people are going to disagree with me. They think Brock is boring, put somebody new over, blah, blah, blah. I'm not disagreeing with you. I wish they did a better job of putting over some newer people. I wish they did a better job of building up the next Brock Lesnar. They have done a very poor job of doing that. Based on the story that they're telling, if the match at WrestleMania is going to be Lesnar and Roman Reigns, the Heyman swerve was kind of an interesting way to go about doing it. And then having Brock come out later on and win the Rumble, if he's going to headline WrestleMania, then he should win the Royal Rumble. I don't like this, the winner of the Royal Rumble headlines WrestleMania and then they wrestle the opening match, or they wrestle in the middle of the card. That's not main eventing WrestleMania. So it might not be the guy that you wanted to see in the main event, but if he's in the main event, then things should play out exactly the way they did tonight. The thing about Lashley, I also said this coming into this. I said Bobby Lashley has to win this match. Bobby Lashley had to win this match tonight. The build-up to this match it made him look so weak. Lashley was taking this seriously. Brock was treating this like a joke. Bobby who? Nobody knows who you are. You're a Brock Lesnar wannabe. He came out, broke back Brock on Raw Monday night in the cowboy hat, right, for the weigh-in. He treated this like a complete joke. He treated Lashley like an afterthought in every single segment. Lashley never really got his comeuppance on Brock. Now, we come to the Rumble, and if Brock just goes in there and beats him in 5 minutes with an F5, Bobby Lashley is, I don't think I could book a worse way to go about handling Bobby Lashley. You want to make Bobby Lashley look like a fucking weak, insignificant nobody, then that's what you do. Lashley had to win this match. Now, even in winning the championship, he still looked pretty weak. Brock got the visual pin. Right? The only reason that he won the match is because Roman Reigns came in and interfered. And had Roman not interfered, we saw the visual pin. Brock had the match won. So even in victory, I'm not going to pretend like Lashley came out of this looking so much stronger than when he came in. But he's the champion. He's got the WWE title. He's going to go on and do his own thing now. Maybe we'll get a rematch with him and Brock at some point. I don't see it happening, anytime soon. He had to win this match. And so it was the right outcome here. Now with Rollins, I did want to mention this one thing. The Seth Rollins-Roman Reigns feud is not over. Based on what they did tonight, it's unresolved. Now I figure they'll just come back in Saudi Arabia, they'll do a rematch there. But I pose this scenario to you, and you can let me know what you guys think. I'm not enamored with this idea because I don't like doing triple threats and fatal four ways, for the WrestleMania main event. I'm not a fan of it. But what if they continue to push with this Seth Rollins, let's say he's going into the babyface column. The crowds do seem to be taking to him more. Would you be down for a Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins triple threat match in the main event of WrestleMania? Very likely with Rollins going over and being the one to win the championship. Is that something that would interest you? Because I'm very much torn on that idea. I think it would probably be a very good match. And we've seen Brock have some really good triple threat matches before, including one with Rollins, the one at Royal Rumble with John Cena. But it just feels to me like the issue with Rollins is unresolved. They could blow it off next month. But, what if they were to drag it out until WrestleMania? and you do a triple threat. Because otherwise, what do you do with Seth Rollins? I'm not sure. That's what got me thinking about that. But a disappointing match. Unfortunately, I can't sit here and tell you that this match lived up to expectations, because it did not. Edge and Beth Phoenix against The Miz and Maryse. I mean, if they would have cut this match from the card at this point, it was almost 11 o'clock, I wouldn't have minded. This was a match. That's what it was. It was a match. Maryse used a Hurricane Rana on Edge at one point, while Miz had the referee distracted, so that was kind of cool. Maryse then gave Beth Phoenix the French Kiss DDT. Miz gave Edge a skull-crushing finale. Edge kicked out. Miz and Maryse tried for a double team move, but Phoenix gave Maryse a spear before Edge and Beth both speared Miz at the same time. We got a double spear spot with husband and wife. And Edge and Beth finished them off with stereo glam slams. Edge pinned Miz for the win, just like he did at day one. Just like he did at the beginning of the month. So we've seen Edge pin the Miz. We've seen Edge and Beth Phoenix defeat the Miz and Maryse. This feud is over. There is no need for this to continue. Edge and Beth Phoenix have won at every turn. I mean, I guess Maryse hit her with a brick that one week. Outside of that, we don't have any reason to see them come out and do a third match. And who knows, right? They have the Chamber show next month. Maybe they'll come up with some wacky stipulation, but I don't need to see this again. Now, please give me Edge against AJ Styles or WrestleMania. That is the match that I would like to see. I would like to see, I'll even take Edge against Kevin Owens, because I think that could also be a fun feud with some fun mic work. I would take Edge and Owens, but what I really want is Edge and AJ Styles. We have not seen them matched up one-on-one since Edge came back to the company. And finally, Mr. Dynamite, the growling Beth face. Well, that's the top of the line super chat. That's the $200 one. I think that's the one that Paul set off at the beginning of the stream, where you get the Beth Phoenix and the Solomonster growl. A pro wrestling and video game fan, thank you for the super chat. But we come to the main event. After a very long night, it was time for the 30-man Royal Rumble match. I just mentioned AJ Styles. He entered in the number 1 spot. So AJ was going to have the chance to go out there and have the Iron Man performance. He paid tribute to Shawn Michaels, who entered in the number 1 spot in 1995 and went on to win the entire thing. Styles came out. He did the HBK pose in the aisleway as he was making his entrance. AJ Styles himself debuted in the Royal Rumble back in 2016. Right, that was a great moment. I think he came out at, what was it, number 3? I believe he entered at number 3 in that Rumble match. I see Darth in the chat, not a fan of Edge. Hey, look, Edge has had some great matches since coming back. I am by no means shitting on Edge. Go watch those matches he had with Seth Rollins. That whole trilogy, the Hell in a Cell match. But I said from the beginning, when he started feuding with The Miz, this feels like a massive step down for Edge. It's almost like we'll just give him something to occupy his time with between now and WrestleMania. And then hopefully at WrestleMania, we'll get to the really good match. That's why I said I hope it's Edge and AJ. AJ was number 1. Number 2 was Shinsuke Nakamura. 2 men who are very familiar with each other. 2 men who wrestled for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. I hope AJ was wearing his protective cup tonight. Vince McMahon's adopted son, Austin Theory, entered at number 3. Bobby Roode was number 4. He took out Nakamura and Theory with spine busters, and then he came face-to-face with AJ Styles, which got a TNA chant from some fans in the crowd. Boy, I tell you, man, Impact is getting more attention tonight than they have in years. They're getting more attention on this Royal Rumble show tonight than they have in a very long time. Didn't last long, though. AJ dumped Roode almost right away. Ridge Holland was out next at number 5. And Styles eliminated Nakamura, the Intercontinental Champion, treated like a chump. Montez Ford was number 6. Damian Priest, the United States champion, was number 7. This was his second Royal Rumble appearance. Number 8 was Sami Zayn. There was a sign in the third row that said, "Send Veer." Veer was not there tonight. Veer is still coming. He's been coming for a very long time. This guy's got fucking blue balls. He's been coming for so long. I don't know where he is, but supposedly he's still coming. It'd be kind of funny if all these vignettes have been airing on Raw now for like 4 months, right? They say Veer is coming. Veer Mahan is coming. And then one week he'll show up on Smackdown. Be like, oh shit, came to the wrong place. I'll just hang around here. I mean, even the company has to acknowledge that it's beyond parody at this point. But the problem is, nobody is going to take this guy seriously if he ever debuts. You've turned this into a joke. So right off the bat, I mean, this guy was never going to get over anyway, let's be honest. He was never going to get over. He was never going to have a chance to truly get over. Or he would get one of those Lord Tenzai pushes. Even Lord Tenzai got a win on TV once over John Cena. But this was never going to go anywhere. So at this point, you may as well turn him into a comedy character. I mean, what else are you going to do with this guy? It's ridiculous at this point. So out at number 9 was Johnny Knoxville, with his jackass crew with him, including Wee Man, who got into it last night at the hotel that all the wrestlers were staying at. They were at the hotel bar, and he got into a little tussle with Brock Lesnar. Now, if you're Wee Man, right, who's a wee little man, of all the people to pick on and all the people to poke, why would you poke Brock Lesnar? Well, that's what Wee Man did, and Wee Man got put through a table, a very non-gimmicked table, in this restaurant at the hotel. He got body slammed. It was all over TMZ. I'm sure you've seen the video by now. And according to PW Insider, security at the bar or the hotel were not very happy about this. They were not very happy about Brock busting this table with this little man. And they asked him to go back to his room, to leave and go back to his room. And he left without incident. So Johnny Knoxville came down. I don't know what the fuck this guy was wearing. He looked like fucking Nacho Libre out there. He comes down to the ring, and he gets in, and he immediately double legs Sami Zayn, because they've been beefing on TV now for several weeks. He takes down Sami with a double leg, and he's laying in some ground and pound. He's pointing at the WrestleMania sign, which is no longer melting. And then he made the mistake of going after AJ Styles. And AJ Styles proceeded to stiff the shit out of this guy. He did not hold back. And he ended with a very stiff clothesline, took Johnny down to the mat. And all I could think, and I mentioned this on the podcast, well, not on the stream the other night. Might have been last night, actually. I've done so many streams this week, I've lost track of all the shows that I've done. But I mentioned that Johnny's been doing promotion for his new movie. It's the only reason he was even in the Royal Rumble. This is all to promote this Jackass Forever movie that's coming out next Friday. Well, he was on Howard Stern, and he talked about a stunt that he did in the new movie with a bull, where he took a really bad blow, and he broke his wrist, and he broke some ribs, and he suffered a really bad head injury, really bad concussion, and suffered what his doctor told him is some brain damage. I mean, I always thought the Jackass guys had brain damage to begin with. But no, he really suffered brain damage, and he's had to undergo these cranial treatments with magnets and stuff to relieve headaches that he's been having. And, you know, he's been seeing a therapist. He's been suffering depression, like really serious shit. And the doctor told him, you cannot take blows to the head anymore. So it's a little strange that he was medically cleared to be in this Royal Rumble match. I thought maybe he wouldn't take any bumps, but he took bumps. He was in there taking bumps. So the whole time I'm watching this guy thinking, this guy's got fucking brain damage. And AJ Styles is in the ring stiffing the shit out of this guy. Although I guess AJ's probably one of the safer people he could be in the ring with. Montez Ford then hit Knoxville with a monster frog splash. And Ridge Holland placed Knoxville on the apron. Before he could eliminate him, Sami Zayn came charging in with the haluva kick, and Knoxville took a bump down to the floor. Styles then dumped out Sami Zayn. So as soon as Johnny Knoxville went out, there goes Sami Zayn. Number 10 was Angelo Dawkins, or as Michael Cole called him, Angelo Hawkins. Number 11 was Omos, who eliminated both Street Profits, both Ford and Hawkins. Was this fucking Stranger Things here? He sent Styles ribs first into the ring post, and AJ went out under the bottom rope, so he was not eliminated. Number 12 was Ricochet. Number 13 was Chad Gable, who got into the ring, and immediately he began to strategize. And he's trying to tell everybody else in the ring, look. Everybody huddle around, okay? He's trying to figure out how to take on this Omos guy. And he looks at Damian Priest and he goes, go after him. You're the biggest guy in the match. So Damian Priest goes after like a fucking geek. He gets knocked down. Omos immediately takes him down. And everybody now is working together. They're trying to, dump Omos out of the ring. Actually, Damian Priest got dumped before this. So Damian Priest not only got knocked down by Omos, he got eliminated too. So he looked like just a friggin' jabron in there. So now everybody is trying to gang up on Omos and dump him out. Clock ticks down to number 14. Here comes Dominic Mysterio. He comes down to the ring. Dominic Mysterio did an interview this past week. I don't know what show or podcast he was on, but he was asked the question, if you could pick one wrestler not currently in WWE that you would like to wrestle and get in the ring with, who would it be? You know what his answer was? Hook. Send Hook. So maybe one day we'll get Dominic Mysterio against Hook in an actual match. Although if it does happen, it won't be in WWE. But Dominic was out next. He joined in the dog pile. But it was AJ Styles who hit the ropes and came off with a forearm. And I guess the momentum from that forearm is what ultimately sent Omos out over the top rope to the floor. They did the Shawn Michaels spot where he eliminated Diesel. Diesel had all the eliminations in the Rumble in 94. And then everybody ganged up on the big guy. And it was Diesel's own friend. It was Shawn Michaels who kind of hit the dog pile from behind. And that little bit of momentum is what sent Diesel out to the floor and eliminated him. So that was the same spot they did here. Every year we hear in these Rumble matches about how the big guy, the 7-foot guy, the monster, the giant, he's the odds-on favorite to win the Royal Rumble. And every fucking year, he never wins. You would think after a while they wouldn't even mention it anymore. People have caught on at this point that just because you're 7 feet tall, if anything, it makes you more likely to be eliminated because you're too fucking tall. Now, if he was 600 pounds or something, you could say, all right, well, it's not going to be too easy to lift this guy out of the ring. But in a Royal Rumble match, the bigger you are, the easier it is to get you over the top rope. If you get enough people to get underneath you, that's why these guys never win. It's like entering from the number 30 spot. How many people have won from the number 30 spot? Not too many. Not too many. A few people have. I know Undertaker did once. Entering at number 30 doesn't usually do you a whole lot of good. Number 15 was Happy Corbin, who eliminated Ricochet. Number 16 was Dolph Ziggler, who was entering his 15th Royal Rumble, second most of all time. Second only to Kane. I was thinking maybe Kane would make a quick cameo just so he can pad his stats. But there was no Kane. Corbin eliminated Dominic. Styles eliminated Austin Theory. So he lasted 23 minutes. I can't wait for Vince McMahon to rake him over the coals on TV on Monday night with all the camera cuts as they try to shoot him in a way that doesn't make him look like the Crypt Keeper. Sheamus was number 17. 10 years ago, at this very event in this very city of St. Louis, Sheamus won the Royal Rumble. He went on to WrestleMania. My very first WrestleMania in person. That was in Miami. And in 18 seconds, he beat Daniel Bryan to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, he went all the way to the WrestleMania main event in an 18-second opening match. He fucking curtain jerked the show. That's what I mean when they talk about headlining WrestleMania. If you're going to win the Rumble, then you should headline WrestleMania. For real. That was 10 years ago that Sheamus did that. And just as he was about to get into the ring, AJ Styles dumped Ridge Holland, his boy. He dumped Ridge out at Sheamus's feet. Sheamus got in the ring. He went right after Styles. Speaking of number 18, Rick Boogs was out next. I would still love to know why they had this guy cut his hair. I thought it was part of his whole gimmick. You know, he's a rock star. It'd be like somebody telling the Rolling Stones or something, you know, back in their heyday. Hey, you got to cut your hair. Doesn't make any. I feel like we always hear these stories in WWE where if it's not Vince, it's like Johnny Ace or somebody. You got to cut your hair. We just signed this new guy. He's a really handsome, good-looking guy, long flowing locks. First thing you got to do, you got to cut your hair. I think they do it just to fuck with people. I think they do it just because they just feel like fucking with people. There's no rhyme or reason for it. So out comes Rick Boogs. He eliminated Chad Gable with a one-arm gorilla press, which the camera missed because they cut away right at the moment that he was getting ready to dump him out of the ring. The production team thought that this would be a great moment to cut to something else. And when they cut back, Gable was gone. Number 19 was Madcap Moss, who wore red suspenders with no shirt on. Right? So this guy comes out, and he looks like a complete goof. And what happens next? Madcap Moss tosses out AJ Styles. AJ Styles is eliminated by somebody named Madcap Moss. As if the Sasha Banks elimination wasn't bad enough in the women's match. They go and they do this. Amazing. Amazing. Now, we were about to get number 20, and I just wrote down, this Rumble is fucking boring. I think I even tweeted out, it's a fucking bore fest. This Rumble, even up to this point, this Rumble was so bad because nothing was happening. Nothing was happening. You had a few names in there. AJ was in there and people like that, but, you know, just a bunch of people in there. Not a lot of really name talent. Even the names that came out, nobody really seemed to give a shit. Nobody cared. There was no reaction really to anything that was going on. It was just a bunch of bodies that were in there, and there was no story. There was no excitement. This was boring. So I was hoping that things would pick up once we got into the later numbers. Well, boy, was I wrong. Number 20 was Matt Riddle. Corbin and Moss teamed up to eliminate Boogs. As they cackled, out comes number 21, who is Drew McIntyre. Now, we found out on Smackdown last night that McIntyre, who's been dealing with a legitimate neck injury, thankfully for him, the injury was not serious enough to where he would have to have surgery, but Michael Cole was playing coy and saying, we don't really know when, you know, he's going to be able to come back. We're not sure. So, of course, there he was. He didn't get as big of a reaction as you would think. I know I keep saying it, but some of these people, when they walked out, it was shocking. And it really illustrates how not over, I think, some of these people are in this company who are positioned pretty high up on the card, and they really should be more over than they are, and they're not. You had 44,000 people in this building. Remember when Drew kicked Brock Lesnar out of the ring in 2020 at the Royal Rumble? I don't remember what stadium, if that was in Texas or where they were. Arizona, maybe. I think it was Texas. That might have been Minute Maid. And they panned out. Everybody's going nuts. People were so happy. That whole story of Brock entering himself into the Rumble and dominating, and then Brock runs into Drew McIntyre. And Drew was the guy they were putting over, and it worked. People were behind Drew. They liked Drew. They wanted to see Brock eliminated, and when he was, the place went nuts. We didn't have anything like that. We didn't have any moment like that in this match. And it really hit home. Here's Drew McIntyre. It's 2 years later. Compare the reaction that he got coming out and when he eliminated Brock and when he won. Compare the reaction that he got then, 2 years later, to the reaction that he got here in this match. The only time people kind of reacted is when he got rid of Corbin and Moss because they're just fucking annoying. So people like that. That got a nice little reaction. Drew wasn't finished with them, though. He went outside the ring and he was punishing them some more. He used the ring steps on them, and then he suplexed Moss on top of the ring steps. Now, I had number 22 in the Facebook poll that I mentioned earlier. Number 22 comes out, and it's Kevin Owens. I didn't like my chances. I thought maybe, possibly, I had a mild chance here, but no. Didn't work out for me this year. Number 23, Rey Mysterio. Number 24, Kofi Kingston. We got to talk about this. We have got to talk about this. This was actually kind of a great, I don't know if metaphor maybe is the right word for it, a great metaphor. for this men's Royal Rumble match. So Kofi Kingston, this former WWE champion, Kofi Kingston, talked about how this was, I think, his 15th Royal Rumble appearance or some number like that. He's been in a lot of Royal Rumble matches, right? Kofi's been around for a long time. And they started doing this thing many years ago with him where he would be almost eliminated, but he would come up with these clever, unique ways to not have his feet touch the floor. You know, the floor is lava. We can't touch the floor. And Kofi is very athletic, and most of the time he's able to pull it off, and it's very impressive, and everybody cheers like a little, you know, like seals. Yay! And then he gets back in the ring, and what happens? He gets eliminated 5 seconds later. Back to the showers he goes. So they're going to do it again because it's become the annual thing to do. We have to do it every year. It's the Kofi spot, right? So Kofi Kingston comes out, and the first thing that he even does in this match, he goes for some kind of, he's on the apron and he's going for a springboard move of some kind. And when he goes to propel himself up in the springboard, Kevin Owens pushes him off. And Kofi Kingston takes flight. And the idea was he was going to land on the barricade and like Spider-Man. He was going to just like what John Morrison did this spot many years ago. But I don't think he got the kind of height that Kofi got. But he's going to grip the barricade and both feet would not touch the floor. Well, he probably got a little too much height on it. Came down from a great distance. Couldn't control his momentum. And they kept the camera on him. So I actually blame the company for this too, because if you know that you're doing a high-risk spot like this that might not go well, you don't shoot it dead on. They shot this dead on, and it was plain as day that Kofi's feet hit the floor when they weren't supposed to. Referee came over. I couldn't really tell. I don't think the ref knew what to do. They were obviously giving him instructions in his ear. They showed a replay, and there it is, plain as day on the replay. There was no getting around it. His feet hit the floor. And they said, well, Kofi's eliminated. So whatever he had planned I'm sure this big elaborate spot that he was going to do, as far as how is he going to get back in the ring, I laughed. And you know what? Good. Because here's my issue with it. First of all, this is going to end up obviously on the next Botchamania. But here's my issue with this. They got too cute. They got too cute for their own good. You keep tempting fate like this, and eventually it's going to blow up in your face. This spot is so played out. And Kofi isn't the only one who's done this spot. I mentioned Morrison and others have done this as well. Naomi. We've seen Naomi do it in the women's rumbles. It is so played out at this point. When Shawn Michaels did it in 95, and I still, the way he pulled that off was just fucking great. By the way, on that note that I just mentioned, the way it was shot, remember that match in 95, how they shot that? Which side of the ring did Shawn Michaels go out on? He went out on the opposite side, and they were not shooting it directly. So all you saw was him go over. We couldn't see where his feet were. Only the people on that side of the arena in those first few rows could really see where his feet were. They did that on purpose. So that in the event that his feet hit, when they showed the replay, they would just ignore that. They wouldn't show us. Right? That was the safe way of shooting it. That's why they did it that way. They should have done the same thing with Kofi, but that's neither here nor there. I'm glad that it finally fucked up. It was going to end up getting fucked up at some point. This spot is so played out. I want them to bury it. I want this spot to be rendered dead for at least a decade because it is so played out. It needs to be put in the ground, and then 10 years from now, we can revisit this spot when it'll be special again. I don't need to see this spot ever again because it is so played out. Tonight, it bit them on the ass. Shit happens. Number 25 was Otis. Number 26 was Big E, another one, former WWE champion. He was WWE champion only a matter of weeks ago. Came out, felt like just another guy. Just another name, and not a particularly big one, didn't feel like, on his way down to the ring. Nobody really seemed to care all that much. And by the way, on SmackDown last night, they were talking about him officially now being on SmackDown. So that's the word they used multiple times, that, how does it feel to officially be back? Or, Big E is officially back on SmackDown. So if that's the case, boy, What an end to his run, huh? On Monday Night Raw. What an end to the big singles push for Big E. And what fanfare, too. Just to, hey, you're on Smackdown now. There's no trade. There's no swap. There's no stipulation. Loser leaves town. He lost on Raw. Has to go to SmackDown. Nope. Just officially on SmackDown. At least until they change their mind and they need him back on Raw. Number 27 was Bad Bunny. Oh my goodness. They brought the bunny back. The bunny hopped on into the Royal Rumble this year. Bad Bunny, who's getting ready to go back out on tour. So there you go. They had to promote the tour. He took out Sheamus with a crossbody off the top rope. Hit a tilt-a-whirl head scissors to Kevin Owens. He nailed a destroyer to Matt Riddle. Sheamus went for a brogue kick. The bunny, though, pulled the rope down. Sheamus went flying out over the top. Sheamus hit the floor. Dolph Ziggler attacked the bunny, but Mysterio hit him with a 619, and the bunny dumped Dolph. So the bunny was he was doing great. He was making everybody look foolish. He was eliminating people. He was the most dominant person in the match up to this point. And then out at number 28 came Shane McMahon. Shane O'Mac, who has helped put together these Royal Rumble matches over the last few years. He's helped out with the structuring of the matches behind the scenes. That's why when I heard he was there, that didn't necessarily mean he was going to be in the match, because my impression is that he's there every year, helping out with the match. But he came out. He was wearing, I think, I forgot what sports jersey that he was wearing. Some St. Louis, I think, sports jersey. He came out at number 28. Rey Mysterio was eliminated. The camera completely missed it. Shane eliminated Owens, and that eliminated me from the pool. So leave it to a McMahon to fuck me over here. That was the end of my Royal Rumble pool hopes for this year. Number 29 was Randy Orton, who got a big hometown pop here in St. Louis. They all love Randy Orton in St. Louis. RKO to Big E. Bye-bye, Big E. Boy, is Big E dead or what? Is Big E dead, or he just feels so dead? I look in the man's eyes. It looks like he's got the dead eyes now. I do feel bad for him. I do. The way he got, fucked over at day one. I knew that he wasn't going into WrestleMania as the WWE champion. I knew it. I knew he wasn't going. That's why I said before day one, I said he's not walking into WrestleMania with a title. Because there was no heel that was really strong enough to match him up with. It had to be the story where the babyface chases the title, right? But I at least thought at that point that there was still a chance that he would at least challenge for the championship. And now, this guy, he'll be lucky if he's in the fucking Andre Battle Royal at WrestleMania. You talk about going from the penthouse to the outhouse in record time. That's what it feels like with Big E. I know we have an Elimination Chamber match coming up. I don't know what's going to be on the line. I don't know if he's going to be in it. I just can't imagine him winning. I can't imagine him being thrust back into a world title match or WrestleMania. This guy feels completely stone cold. And I don't mean like Steve Austin. I mean just fucking cold as shit. This guy is dead. His push has just died a death. So, adios to Big E. RKO to Otis. Riddle did a step up off of Otis's back and then caught Drew McIntyre in midair with an RKO of his own. So that was kind of a cool spot. RK Bro teamed up to eliminate Otis. And then it was down to the number 30 spot. And here comes, you knew it was coming, especially after the WWE title match. You knew this was coming. Here comes Brock Lesnar, who has, I guess, entered himself into the Royal Rumble. It's a good thing. I guess they had an open spot, right? Either that or we're going to find out that Brock beat somebody up. Was there somebody advertised in the graphic? Maybe somebody can take a look at that graphic they were showing on screen this week. Did he replace somebody? Are they going to bother to explain on TV? Did he beat somebody up in the back and steal their spot or something? Was somebody missing? It's a good thing they had a spot open. Here comes Brock. He stormed down to the ring. He took down Shane McMahon. Suplexes to Orton and to Shane. Another one for Riddle. Lesnar clotheslined Orton out of the ring. That drew loud boos from the crowd. These people were not happy. to see Randy Orton get eliminated. Lesnar grabbed the bunny, sent him into orbit with an F5. If you ever wondered if a bunny could fly, you got to see one here on this show. You got to see the flying bunny. Hit the F5, out goes Bad Bunny out over the top. Lesnar dumped Riddle to the floor, tried to clothesline Shane McMahon out of the ring. He tried to clothesline Shane out over the top rope. And Shane did not go. So Brock went and he tried again, and this time he finally went. And Shane McMahon was eliminated. It came down to two men. It came down to Brock Lesnar, and it came down to Drew McIntyre, right? We saw these two in the Rumble 2 years ago. Very different situation back then. McIntyre eliminated Brock in that match. Tonight, history did not repeat itself. He went for the F5. Drew escaped, went for a Claymore. Lesnar dodged it, and Brock F5'd him over the top rope, out to the floor. Brock Lesnar, for the first time since 2003, almost 20 years ago, Brock Lesnar won his first and only other Royal Rumble, which sent him to WrestleMania for a main event match against Kurt Angle. And here we are in 2022. Brock Lesnar has done it again. And he wins the Royal Rumble match. I don't have an issue with Brock Lesnar winning this match. Let me make that very clear one last time. It's when we did the predictions on the show and everything, I had predicted a Brock Lesnar win, so it didn't catch me by surprise or anything. I'm not upset about it. It made sense. Brock gets screwed, comes into the Rumble, wins the Rumble, punches his ticket back to a Roman Reigns match at WrestleMania. So they've accomplished that. But this was, without a doubt, one of the most boring Royal Rumble matches that I have ever seen. The Royal Rumble is usually a lot of fun. In 2015 and 2014, it was not fun. It was actually infuriating to watch the Royal Rumble both of those years, those Rumble matches. This year, it wasn't, it was just, I didn't feel anything. It wasn't fun. You watch the Royal Rumble because it's fun. What was fun about this Royal Rumble match? What was fun about this Royal Rumble match? Oh, Bad Bunny was in there. Johnny Knoxville was in there. Oh, great. Wonderful. There was nothing fun about this Royal Rumble match. There was no, it was just this bare bones effort. You know, a bunch of guys who were really exposed, I think, tonight as not being as over as maybe people thought they were. The crowd didn't really seem to give a shit. I know it was late in the night, and you could say, well, if it was earlier in the show, maybe they would have, but not really, because it wasn't like they were that much more enthusiastic for the women. This was one of the worst Royal Rumble matches that I have ever seen. And the Royal Rumble goes all the way back to 1988. This will be up there. I don't know where it ranks, but this will be up there as one of the worst that I've ever seen, because it was a fucking bore fest. The worst kind of Royal Rumble. A boring Royal Rumble. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll results and see. I'm almost afraid to look. Oh boy. That's about what I expected. 11% of you, and we have over 2,600 votes so far. Over 2,600 votes in this poll. We've got over 3,500 people in this live chat right now, so you can go vote at Solomonster. 11% thumbs up, roughly 23% thumbs in the middle, and 66% thumbs down. Ouch. Well deserved. Well deserved. Not only was the men's Rumble one of the worst that I've ever seen, when I look at this pay-per-view overall, like I said, it was downhill after the opening match. This is one of the worst Royal Rumble events overall that I've seen in a very long time. And they've had some strong shows in recent years. This is not one of them. This was a letdown. This is what this was. I was looking forward to the show. I was really pumped up for this show, too. I was really looking forward to this show. I was hoping that this would kind of start the build to WrestleMania in a positive way. And, you know, Ronda coming back, obviously that's going to be a big story, and who she chooses at WrestleMania. The Heyman turn, you know, that's been the best storyline going in this company. So they made forward progress on those stories, but this show on the whole was just a massive disappointment. And I can only hope that as we inch closer to WrestleMania, there's only one show between now and WrestleMania. It's the Saudi Arabia show. And it just so happens that we're coming off the best Saudi Arabia show that they've ever done in October. Right? It was Crown Jewel. That was a great show. That was the best Saudi show that they have ever done. That had the Hell in a Cell with Edge and Rollins and some other great matches. The women, right? Bianca, Sasha, and Becky, I think, had a great triple threat. Brock and Roman. I was going to say Brock and Roman for the first time. Yeah, right. More like the 8th time, but the first time in a long time that we got Brock and Roman on that show. So maybe they'll rebound next month. I sure hope so, because if they come back with another effort like this, they're going to be 0 for 2 so far to start the year. But very disappointing. That's what I was left with when the show is over. But I'll tell you what's not disappointing, and I'm going to get to your super chats. We got a whole bunch of them, and I promise you I will get to them. And I do appreciate you hitting that like button as well, because it does help out the videos on the channel. By the way, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the sub button. Make sure your alerts are turned on. If you become a channel member, we have all kinds of bonus content. I just did a 1992 Royal Rumble watch-along last week for the 30th anniversary for channel members. We do periodic call-in shows for members only. We just did one the other night, taking your phone calls. A lot of cool stuff, retro audio, so if you want to consider becoming a channel member. But what we're doing right now is a contest. We are doing a contest for WrestleRumble.com. Let me bring it up here. Let me bring up the right page, because I have a whole list of names here. Here we go. We have got over 1,300 names. We have got over 1,300 names in this list. And I will just do a quick scroll through for you. There's some repeat names in here because you can enter the contest multiple times. So some people have multiple entries. But over 1,300 entries in the contest this month. And again, I want to thank Wrestle Rumble for allowing me to be the master of ceremonies here. I didn't think we'd be doing this at 2 o'clock in the morning, but it's one of those long nights. So the way this works is we're giving away 3 championship belts. Hey, King Tone just subscribed. Thank you for the sub. First place winner of this contest is going to receive a Rated R Edge custom championship belt. Let me see if I can bring the image up here and just show you guys what this looks like. There's the ad. You see that belt right there in the middle? It's kind of small. You can go on WrestleRumble.com and see much bigger pictures of what the belt looks like. It's a beautiful belt. And that belt right there in the middle that you see is the Edge Rated R belt. That goes to the first place winner. Second place winner gets a Royal Rumble Moments belt, which looks just as cool. It's got individual plates with some of Wrestle Rumble's hand-picked favorite Royal Rumble moments from over the years. There's a second Royal Rumble Moments belt. That's going to go to the third place winner. And so that is what we are doing right now. I'm going to go and randomize this list. When the list pops up, the names that are in the number 1, number 2, and number 3 spot, those are going to be your first, second, and third place winners. It's very simple. The rules are very simple for this contest, and I will not make you wait any longer, so let's hit that drum roll, please. And see who is going to win these 3 championship belts. The winners of the contest are Brian Jarvis, you are the first place winner. Jackson Ray, you are the second place winner. And Mark O'Shea clocks in at number 3. So congratulations to Brian, to Jackson, and to Mark. That's not a descriptive term. That is his name. You 3 guys are getting championship belts coming your way courtesy of WrestleRumble.com. So congrats to the winners. Those belts look sweet. I got to say, I'm jealous of those Royal Rumble Moments belts especially. But the Edge Rated R one is pretty cool as well. So again, congrats to Brian, Jackson, and Mark. Wrestle Rumble will be in touch. And he's usually great about getting those prizes out pretty quickly. They'll probably be in the mail to you in the next couple of days. So, again, congrats to the winners, and thank you to Wrestle Rumble for allowing me to choose the winners. I know he's got a lot of big plans here for 2022, and I'm sure we'll be doing more of these contests here on the live streams in the months to come. So, we have a lot of messages to get to. Oh boy, do we have a lot of feedback, positive, negative, all kinds of feedback. We gotta scroll all the way back here. I don't even know if I'm going to sleep tonight. I'm supposed to do a podcast tomorrow. How the fuck am I going to do this? I don't know. We may have to pull an all-nighter here. You guys have come out, look at this. You guys have come out in full force tonight. We got to go all the way back to Hashway from 9 hours ago. We got to go all the way back to Hashway. Let me see here. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. And look at that. Still over 3,000 people. Amazing. You guys are amazing. Although I guess on the West Coast, it's not quite as late. But Bo Kang Silver. Thank you for the sub. Bo Kang now, part of the channel, part of our family here. Hashway. Hey, Solomonster, hope you're doing good. I'm going to go out on a limb and predict an Austin Theory win at the Rumble. Oops. Didn't quite work out the way Hashway had hoped. Groovy Goose. Groovy Goose, how about a Royal Rumble be the booker? Can't hurt. Well, we're not going to have time for that tonight, I don't think. But thank you, Groovy Goose. Scott Hall, look at this. Scott Hall hanging out with us tonight. I'm sure the Scott Hall. Longtime fan of the podcast, now subbed here. Thank you, Scott Hall. Look at that, the bad guy joining us here on the channel. Jamie Dorsch with the $11 super chat. Buff Bagwell said in an interview that WWE asked him to get inducted as a member of the NWO. Woo. That never fails to make me laugh. I talked about this on the podcast at the time. He says, what is the best exaggerated lie that you have heard from a wrestler? Oh, I'm quite partial to the Hulk Hogan lie, where he once said that he worked, 400 days in a year? And that it was 400 days because of time zone differences between, I think, Japan and the United States. So he had calculated that in reality he had traveled like 400 days or something. I mean, there's so many, just for him alone, there's so many to name. I can't possibly name them all. DHV Smoking Trees. Hey, Cameron Spencer just dropped a super chat. DHV Smoking Trees, generic entrance music Rushmore. Brock would be number 1. Yeah, Brock's theme is pretty badass. Scott Hall, thank you for the 99 cents. Joseph Brooks, buy, rent, or sell on which company was or is AJ Styles' best work? TNA, New Japan, or WWE? I gotta go New Japan. I would go New Japan. Oh, you know, he had some real classic matches in TNA. It's hard to go against that, but I got to go New Japan, WWE, and then TNA. You know, but some of the more diehard TNA fans who followed those early years closer than I did might disagree. Ryan Spies, Austin Theory was in at number 3 because he refused to enter over 18. Oh, come on. Come on now. Shaquan Hickman, Jerry Lawler needs to show both Ronda and Shane how to properly throw a working punch. Shaquan Hickman again, 2 of the worst Rumble matches that I have ever watched, and I got to watch one in one night. I got to watch them in one night. Who needs 2 nights of WrestleMania when you have this? Anti-M Bishop, $15 super chat. Thank you, brother. Good morning, Solomonster. That show was mid. What happens when you book yourselves into a corner and no clean way of getting out? It reminded me of why I am not going to WrestleMania this year. Hey, Darth Panic just became a sound-off superstar. What's going on, Darth Panic? Yokozuna. Oh, boy, there's a lot of insanity in the chat here. Marcus Robinson Johnson. Both Rumble matches disappointed, but the 2015 Rumble is still far worse, in my opinion. Also, I hope tonight puts an end to the Kofi spot for good. Yes, as I said, It needs to be buried 6 feet under and left there for at least 10 years. James Cooper, watching ironically, this was fun. Shield match was by far the best segment. At least AEW can make new stars. Should Edge have another heel run? Yeah, I think he will. I think he should, and I think he will at some point. But, yeah, like a match against AJ, though, you could do babyface against babyface. I think that's fine. James Auburn, well, Riddle finally got to work with Brock after all, if only to get thrown around for a few seconds. So there is that. You know, I hadn't even realized that. I never even put that together when I saw them interact in the match. You're right. You're right. Lesnar had told Riddle, you and I are never going to work together because he just doesn't like him. And he just found him to be incredibly annoying. And they actually did briefly work together tonight. Probably the only time that will ever happen. Mr. Andrew, $4.99. Predictability does not mean bad, but a badly booked show with questionable decisions does. Felt like there is no logic in the eliminations for the Rumble. Winston Smith, dropping $22. Thank you, Winston. And there's my boy, Paul Hamilton. That has to be a record for the night. $250 super chat. Holy shit. The man, the myth, the legend, the Solomonster from the Portland pop star. Paul, thank you. That is very kind. Simi Valley. Too damn predictable, but shout out to Bad Bunny. Hey, Bad Bunny, I'll tell you what, when he does his spots, just like at WrestleMania last year, he hits his spots and he makes it look good. You know, some celebrities go in there and it's embarrassing. He doesn't go in there and embarrass himself. If you're going to go in there, at least make it look good. The Willy Bot. Imagine the desperate phone call Sarah Logan must have gotten from WWE after having been released just a couple of years ago. Zach Jones, I've basically given up on WWE as a company and exclusively watch AEW now. I do love the Rumble, so I gave Vince another shot. I regret that I did so. Andre Israel, $10 super chat. Flair being in the last two at the end of the Women's Rumble as the champion was horrendous. And by default, I felt like everybody was forced to side with Ronda winning, even if it was obvious. Well, now you know why they did that. See? Now you're getting in their head. Why do you think they set it up that way? Because they wanted to ensure that Ronda Rousey would get the proper reaction. And she did. I think she was largely cheered by the crowd. Jose Leanos. Rollins against Reigns was a banger. Shout out to Bad Bunny for putting in some work. The rest of the show sucked. Marcus Taylor, thank you for the $1.99. Naif Al-Safar, thank you for the $9.99. Brian Anthony Rivers, shaking my head. This is what happens when you have no stars to build up. After what we saw, this might be karma from the releases last year. Edwin Nunez, Bad Bunny should have won. Vitamin Vision TV, just renamed this pay-per-view the Royal Fumble. Well, you could do the Royal Fumble, you could do the Royal Stumble. Declan Malloy, honestly, both these Rumbles were atrocious. Half the people were surprises because their music is so bland and generic, you don't know who's coming out. Quintus Brown, both Rumbles were terrible. The men's was boring and the women's was a Divas era reunion. No Xia Li, no Finn Balor, but we got Alicia Fox and Shane McMahon. What a disappointing pay-per-view. Loki Agatho, $20 super chat. Other than the Rollins match, a very long, underwhelming, and predictable show. This show really showed... Boy, it's a lot of shows. This show really showed how gutted the women's roster is and how there are no young talent being groomed or stars on the horizon. That's why Tony Storm said, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Otherwise, I'll be in the Royal Rumble and I'll be eliminated in the first 90 seconds, and this is going to be the story of my career. Shaquan Hickman, the Edge against Miz, and an ownership of the use of "the" in their ring name on a pole match at WrestleMania. Scott Hall with the 99 cents. What's going on, Scott? MHS. WWE makes it so hard to suspend disbelief. Second referee comes precisely after Reigns attacks Lesnar. Brock just happens to be in the match at number 30. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They don't typically bother to explain anything because they feel like they don't have to. You know, because they think their audience, they're just a bunch of sheep. And the sheep will accept whatever they give them, and so they don't have to put the extra little bit of effort in to make anything make any sense. It's been their MO for years. Andrew Jorlog with the 1992 Ric Flair Super Chat. Ronda and Brock will make for a couple of good matches, but the continuing issues of building new stars is perpetuated. Mr. All Day J with the $100 Super Chat. I appreciate you, Solomonster. My only hope is that Ronda challenges Charlotte and Becky takes on Bianca. And Bianca is not in some crappy battle royal. That's the one good thing. If they don't go to Ronda and Becky right away, it absolutely should be Bianca and Becky at WrestleMania. Thunder Knight. While I have enjoyed the Roman Reigns heel run, would you agree that it should have happened in 2015? Absolutely. I don't know that it would have been as good, though. But yes, it should have happened a long time ago. Scott Emily Davis Morris, that sounds like a law firm, dropped a $6 super chat. I just don't think Ronda needs to be in title matches. She's already a big name. That any match she is in is already big. I mean, you could say the same thing about Brock, right? They keep putting him in title matches. Mud Hazik, thank you for the $5. Marcus Taylor, so the Impact Women's title on WWE television means what? It means nothing. Nobody ever said it meant anything. It's just a little bone to throw to Impact. There's no forbidden door opening between the two companies. We're not going to see interpromotional matches. It's like all the people who thought Cody was going to be in the Royal Rumble tonight. Please. Please. They thought Jon Moxley was going to be on the show. They thought Cody was going to be in the Royal Rumble. Give me a break. Injustice System, thank you for the $9.99. Damn it, Dan, with the $150. Hey, pal, keep up the great work. I'm trying. Damn it, Dan, thank you, man. Thank you for the bomb. Appreciate it. Matthew Barker, you know the crowd did not care about the men's Rumble match when Johnny Knoxville got the biggest pop of the match. Rodimus Prime chiming in with the 20. Besides the WrestleMania sign catching on fire, and unfortunately seeing Shane McMahon, I thought the pay-per-view overall was, as MJF says, mid. Yeah, where's Cody? I mean, I thought everybody was telling me that Cody was going to be in the Royal Rumble. I was shocked. There was no Cody. You mean to tell me that people jumped the gun and bought into baseless rumors that never had any possibility of happening in the first place? I find that hard to believe. I mean, I know this is the internet we're talking about, but everybody was telling me that Cody was going to be in the Royal Rumble. I am disappointed now. A Wave Spiller, thank you for the sub. Colin C. The finish made Lashley look weak. I would have had Brock get his shoulder up after the belt shot and then have Lashley put him in the hurt lock and have the ref ring the bell, keeping Brock struck. So you would have had the referee call for the submission, because that's basically what that would have been. You're going to do a ref stoppage or a submission with Brock Lesnar? You'd be lucky to get a pin on Brock Lesnar. There is no way that Brock Lesnar is either submitting or that you're going to do a ref stoppage with Lashley's hold to put it over strong. It's realistically, there's never any chance of that happening. So I don't even know why you would have thought that that would have gone down that way. The Sheriff of Patties, no matter how disappointed I may feel after these, your podcast always deliver. Oh, PLE. Okay. I didn't know what it meant. See, I'm not calling them premium live events. They're fucking pay-per-views. That's it. Walter is Walter. Pay-per-views are pay-per-views. It's like, you know, please. Your podcast always delivers. Cheers to being the most reliable thing in pro wrestling. Thank you, sir. Bliss fan, yes, I am aware of that. Yes, SummerSlam 2015. Brock gave Undertaker the middle finger. and passed out. But that was The Undertaker. The idea that Brock would pass out or submit to Bobby Lashley, that's what I'm talking about when I say that it's not realistic. Because even though Lashley has been WWE Champion, and he is once again WWE Champion, he got pinned by Brock Lesnar, or Brock Lesnar got pinned by him. He ain't at that level. They don't see him at that level, I don't think. I don't think Brock would be willing to do for Lashley what he did for Undertaker and them. I mean, that's The Undertaker. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is. I can't see Brock doing that finish with a lot of other people. Would it be nice to see him, you know, lose to the guy's finishing hold? Yeah, of course it would. But I mean, there was never any chance of that happening. Farm the Great with the 99 cents. Joseph, Pat Patterson might have been a piece of crap. Wow. But you can feel his absence in the choreography of the Royal Rumbles. Now that Brock or Reigns holds the title hostage, who takes the belt from one of them? Is it Drew or is it Rollins? I think Rollins is the better bet. The new one, I'm with you, Solo. The Brock-Bobby match was what I was looking forward to the most. I hope we get a rematch because I think the match could have been better, but I don't think we will. Darius Smith, if anything, tonight gave us three things. Brock against Bobby, an interaction on screen between Brock and Riddle, and 2 chapters of revenge, Reigns and Rollins and Brock and Drew. A big night of storytelling. That Indian dude, $14 super chat. Listen to your stuff around 2008. Transitioned to an MMA fan, but good to see you are still around. Good to see Dana White has learned from Vince about using that independent contractor nonsense. Thank you, brother. Joshua Jones, haven't cared for 2.0 since the reboot, but I am honestly surprised they did not at least have a few people from NXT pop up in both Rumbles, especially the women's. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of telling, I think, that they didn't have anybody from NXT, which they have in recent years. And this time there was nobody. They were there. There were people there. I think Walter was there and Braun Breaker and people like that were there, but didn't use them. Paul Hamilton dropped a $200 bomb after the $250 earlier. Holy shit. At the end of the night, remember, you are the Solomonster and they are not. It's like Paul Bear's favorite quote is when he used to say that he would go, I'm Paul Bear and you're not. Ah. Fucking miss Paul Bear, man. I miss Paul Bear. Lonnie Jones says, bro, what's up? What's up, bro? Rizzo, I'm curious if you in the chat think Kofi was supposed to catch himself when he got eliminated because it looked like there was some confusion. Yes, yeah, he botched the spot. Absolutely, he botched the spot. I thought it was pretty obvious that he botched the spot. Z with the $9.99. Watched WWE screw up and book Charlotte against Ronda because remember that was the plan for WrestleMania 35, but Becky blew up, so they had to put her in the main event. That Joe guy. Solomonster, do you think that the winner of the Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia will challenge Bobby Lashley? If so, who do you believe it will be? Well, I'm trying to think of a good babyface to put in that spot. You know, they've done nothing to build up Finn Balor. Apparently, Vince McMahon does not, see Finn Balor on that level anymore. First Universal Champion, but I guess he doesn't see him as a main eventer anymore. I come back to AJ Styles, newly turned babyface. Of course, you've got Rollins, though. I'm just not convinced that Rollins is done with Reigns. So, yeah, Rollins could be worked into the Roman and Lesnar stuff. If he's not, though, as they were seemingly starting down the babyface path with Seth Rollins, I'm thinking Rollins or AJ Styles are the two names that make the most sense. Probably Rollins, right? I mean, that. What other big baby faces would there be? I mean, Damian Priest is the U.S. champ. There was nothing with Damian Priest in the Royal Rumble tonight that would lead you to believe that he's being primed for a WWE title match or WrestleMania. I think it would have to be Rollins or maybe AJ. Man Without Mercy. Men's Rumble was a waste of time. False hopes yet again. Maruthi Ram, thank you for the $1.99. Sean Waters, this was the first Rumble where I was falling asleep once AJ was eliminated. Do you think Bobby takes the title to Mania? And who do you think it is against? As I just said, I think it's Rollins or AJ. Davidson Crooks, they depended too much on divas. Past wish some ladies from NXT got the nod. Samoan Fan 101, don't grasp at straws. WWE is just that stupid. I think you're right. Garfield Burke with the $4.99. Boucher says, hit that like button. I agree. Supratik Boxy. Do you think that they're trying to tell that Roman has issues with betrayal by playing the Shield breakup again? Also, if Roman retains at WrestleMania, which is slim, would you consider Seth to turn face to end Reigns eventually? I think it still could happen. That's why I was talking about the possibility of a triple threat. Frank Aquilino, cheers to you, Solomonster. Thank you for all your hard work. Well, thank you, Frank. Maruthi Ram, that Shattered Dreams reference was hilarious. It wasn't hilarious at the time. It was kind of depressing, but we can look back on it now and I guess we can laugh. So Bearwolf is telling me, where are we? Bearwolf is saying that we've got about 150 likes to go to hit 1,000. I would love to hit 1,000 likes before we get out of here tonight. And we are already over 850, so let's see if we can make that happen. The artist formerly known as Natural Born Thriller with the 1992. That 92 Rumble was better than this year's boring Royal Rumble. I mean, come on. I mean, Jesus Christ. That's like, I mean, who would say otherwise? Are you kidding me? I only care about one match, and that was Brock against Lashley, and Maryse was entertaining. Maryse is always entertaining. I love Maryse. That's why I said I'm done with this storyline, but I would love Maryse to stick around a little while longer. She makes The Miz tolerable on TV. Cyrus the Virus, overall, I thought the men's Rumble was very slow and boring. A complaint that my father had was too many tag teams in the match taking up spots. Michael Darcy, disappointing night, but the worst part was no Oksana in the Rumble. You lied to me last night, Solo. I did not lie to you. Oksana was there. Oksana was posting stuff on her Instagram. She was there. They flew her in, but she was on standby in case somebody got sick or injured. And they didn't have any spots for her. So, don't blame me. She was there. Bearwolf says we're up to 908. We're less than 100 away. I love it. Ryan Spies, wait, Impact has fans? Oh, the Impact fans are not going to like you. Rizzo, do you think that this was WWE trying to apologize to Mickey for the trash bag firing? I think on some level, I said in my predictions that I did the 2022 predictions that I think she's going into the Hall of Fame this year. Then again, after the comment that Jimmy Smith made on commentary, I think it might be Michelle McCool going into the Hall of Fame this year. Which makes me wonder if The Undertaker is finally going into the Hall of Fame this year. They're going to be in Texas. Undertaker is a Texas boy. Maybe they're going to put Undertaker and Michelle McCool in the same year. Emmanuel Braceno, 1999 Super Chat Laps fan that got roped in by a good card on paper. This is the most meh Rumble that I have sat through. Camera jerking and manic cuts still give me headaches. Your post show helped salvage the night again. Well, I do my part. I do my part to try to put smiles on faces. Isn't that what WWE says they do? They try to put smiles on people's faces. Connor C. McColgan, thank you for the super chat. Andrew Kugel, buy or sell 92 Rumble or 99? I mean, Jesus, come on. Do I even have to answer that? I think you know the answer. Michael Darcy, most exciting part of the night was the WrestleMania sign catching on fire. I hope nobody was hurt. Super Teak Boxy, how would you rate Michelle McCool compared to others in her era? Was she good to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, or because she is married? I assume he means married to The Undertaker. I mean, Michelle McCool was okay. You know, she was no Trish Stratus, and she was no Victoria. But she was, you know, there were plenty of women on that Divas roster who were far worse than her. Zombified guitarist Liv Morgan's striking game is foam rubber soft. She has no striking game. There is no such thing as a Liv Morgan striking game. J. William Reed in the chat says, where was Commander Sneeze? Yeah, where was he? Where was Apollo? Where was Finn? Why ask why? Finn Balor made some very interesting comments on a podcast. He was on Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews wrestles for NXT UK. He's got a podcast. And Balor made some very interesting comments. I'm going to get into that on the podcast tomorrow. Or today. I don't even know what fucking day it is. Michael Santinello. Becky against Ronda against Charlotte Part 2. No. Absolutely not. No more. No triple threat. You do one or the other. No triple threat. Zachary Sigmund. What does Bianca do at Mania? Because she would be the only one that beats Becky. She faces Becky. I think it's Ronda and Charlotte, and I think it's Becky and Bianca. Jamin John, is Survivor Series 1996 the best pay-per-view of the 90s? No. No, it is not. You want to see a great pay-per-view from top to bottom? Go watch Canadian Stampede in July of 97. Ojali Burgos with the 10. It's nights like tonight that I wonder why do I bother with wrestling anymore. Feels like nothing matters and people we care about get treated like dirt. Naomi, Bianca, and Sasha tossed to the side as usual. I feel you. I feel you. Jamin John. Riddler looks like Zodiac Killer in the Batman. Yeah, he does. From the trailer, you're right. That was kind of a random super chat, but I agree. Yusef, watch the whole show hammered. Greatest pay-per-view ever. Well, that is the way to do it. If only I had something different in this mug, maybe I would have enjoyed the show a little bit more. But then again, I don't think I would have been able to hold it together for this review. So you gotta make sure that you are of sound body and mind when you do these shows. Jamin John, is the wrestling move, the border toss, dangerous? It was dangerous every single time that I saw Hernandez do it. So yes, at least when he's doing it, it's very dangerous. Ojali Burgos, also Sonny's gonna get fired after being treated like nothing for over a year. He's talking about Sonny Kiss. I'm just tired of investing in people and not feeling rewarded for my time. Well, how do you think a lot of people feel about NXT? It's very similar. You get invested in these characters and then they just get their legs cut off or they get released, and it's like, why invest my time? Why get behind anybody? Same thing. Master Gunner Axel. Wait, who won? I only listened to the podcast and I did not want to wait until Monday night when I work. Well, you're gonna have to go back and watch the review. We're only about 70 away from 1,000 likes, says Bearwolf. Verbal Souls can never take Ronda seriously after seeing her get beat down twice. Yusuf, I was there live. Shane got the biggest pop of the pay-per-view. Well, that's just fucking sad. If that is true, of all the people on this show to get a big reaction, if you're telling me that Shane McMahon got the biggest reaction of everybody on this show, then the state of this company is beyond, I don't even know what's a good word to use for it. Just beyond sad. Maybe sad would be a word for it. And yet they still make their billions. They still make their money. They still make their billions. Now they're getting into bed with Disney. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow as well. Yukio rules, still no Veer. Drew, Bad Bunny versus Knoxville at WrestleMania in a jackass on a pole match. Give the people what they want. Jamin John, is it true that Ric Flair also has another near-death experience, or had one, in 1982? He was struck by thunder on his umbrella. He said that in a 2005 Raw promo. Yeah, Flair was struck by lightning at least once. He might have been struck by lightning twice, but I believe he was struck by lightning at least once. Darth Panic with the $20. The Bobby against Lesnar was such a letdown. If they were going to have Lesnar win the Rumble, then he should have put Bobby over clean. Well, good luck with that. I mean, it's Brock Lesnar that we're talking about. He's very selective about who he puts over. He did the honors for Drew McIntyre WrestleMania a couple of years ago. You know, so it's not like he hasn't done it at all. But he doesn't do it very often. Pro Wrestling and Video Game Fan, 486. This pay-per-view was super predictable. I envisioned Lashley winning and Brock entering the Rumble to resume the feud with Reigns on SmackDown. Bones Jones with the $2. Any update on Vladimir's documentary and other Icons episodes? None. WWE has said nothing. They are holding the documentary hostage. They put a trailer out for it last year. They gave a release date for it. Nothing. Nothing. They make that content and then they just let it sit. It's a sin. Ryan Spies, Christian has not wrestled this year and still has a better case for Wrestler of the Year than Edge. Christian has a better case for Wrestler of the Year. What great match has he had this year? What great match has Christian had? What am I missing here? Uffman Entertainment, thoughts on the Sasha video package. I thought it was very well done. She's a star. The woman is a star. And I think were it not for Rousey coming back, it would have been Sasha going to WrestleMania to win the championship, which would have been cool because it was in Dallas 6 years ago that she was in the triple threat and she lost. And to bring it back to Dallas in the same building and win this year and end her horrible losing streak at WrestleMania, I think would have been a good story. But if it's Ronda against Charlotte, then I think Sasha is the odd person out. Now, Bayley should be coming back in the next couple of months. So maybe if Bayley comes back, they put Sasha in there against Bayley. I know it's been done before, but if Ronda's getting the match with Charlotte, I don't see another obvious match for Sasha. I really don't. I mean, it's possible... You know, it's possible that if Toni Storm didn't leave, and this is putting probably far too much faith in creative, but she was doing some stuff on TV with Sasha, right? They were kind of buddy-buddy a little bit. You know, if Toni Storm was still around, they could have potentially built to a match between her and Toni. Maybe Toni would have turned heel or Sasha would have turned heel, but Toni left. So there's no other obvious thing for her to do. You could say the same thing for Alexa Bliss on Raw. They're doing these segments that I assume are building to a character change, but it's pretty clear they're not going back to her and Charlotte. So what do you do with Bliss? You know, at WrestleMania, she's still a pretty big name on that you know, in that Raw women's division. There's no obvious direction for these women. Biblical Adrian. What should Lesnar do after WrestleMania? I think Lesnar goes away. I think Lesnar goes back to Saskatchewan. Link Lex. I don't like it, but WrestleMania is not about making new stars. It's about showing the legends and the draws. In this regard, the right two people won. Irens 0. It's a bit eerie how you mentioned Vince's mom on the last podcast about her still being alive, and then she passed away later that week. Rest in peace to her, though. That is, I did think about that. I did think about that. That was a little, I hope I didn't jinx it. Julian Shaw, how would you like to see Bayley return? I figured she would have a spot in the Rumble, but I think Rousey was the right call. I don't think she's ready to come back yet. So as far as how I would re-debut her, you know, I haven't given that a lot of thought. You know, would we even put her back on SmackDown? Would we put her on Raw? That's why I said I think maybe doing something with her and Sasha, it would at least give something for both of them to do. So maybe something with her and Sasha to start. I know it's kind of going back to the well, but... Simi Valley, it's time for guys like Riddle and Damian Priest to move up on the card. Why not give Kevin Owens another run with the title? WWE needs more variety. Blind sent 99 cents. He also said, how has St. Louis had 2 Rumbles and Chicago has had none? That is a very good question. And Chicago is one of the best wrestling cities in the country. Heryu with a $5 super chat. The Kofi Rumble spot, the guest commentator getting involved in a match, multiple superstars coming out one after the other, all need to be buried. Yes, all of these formulaic things, I agree, they do need to be buried. Tomas, that's great and all, but did you hear that Veer is coming? I don't know if you've heard. It's been relatively low-key. Drew, thank you for the $1. Amir with the 5. Was the biggest L of the night Finn Balor for not being booked, even after he defended Gunther Gate? Look, he wasn't winning the Rumble, so maybe it was better off that he wasn't in it. Dr. NXT Scorpio, the WrestleMania sign on fire was an omen that something bad and predictable was going to happen. Darth Panic, do you think Big E can be salvaged? They turn him heel and they have him destroy the New Day. It's not going to happen. Big E is not going heel. They are not splitting up the New Day. It's not going to happen. Devin the Doppler, another person who I feel has totally cooled off, is Damian Priest. What is your thoughts? Damian Priest was over. He was getting over. He was doing very well. He's still the United States champion. I'm not going to say he's doing badly. He is now less over than he was before they had that stupid character change where he would get the big bug eyes and he would snap like he's the Incredible Hulk. That has actually made him less over. They tweaked his character and it made him less over. Jamin John, which actor do you want as Bret Hart in a biopic? Oh, man. Who do I want as to portray Bret Hart in a movie? I feel like it should probably be a Canadian actor, but I don't know who that would be. Well, it depends. Are we doing a kind of older Bret, like in his 40s? Are we doing younger Bret? I don't know. I'd have to think on that. I honestly don't know. Maniac or Manic Magician, rather. Bad Bunny once again outperformed half the men's wrestlers. Yeah, and the women. And the women. We got Cameron Spencer with the $4.99. Do you look at people like me with disgust for thinking that segments like Katie Vick and Bayley, This Is Your Life, was funny? I don't know about disgust, or I just look at you as probably someone who I would back away slowly from. Yeah, somebody I would probably take a restraining order out on. Hulkling93, to compare and contrast, like tonight's 05 Rumble match featured the active roster, but was more entertaining and had stronger entrance reactions. The 2005 Royal Rumble is one of the better ones that they've done. I really like that Rumble. And like you said, it was all, I think, pretty much current talent on the roster at the time. It can be done. If you have people who are over and are booked the right way, it can be done. Stellar Steven, send Asuka, send Shirai. Be careful what you wish for with Io Shirai. EJ Slemp, worst Rumble since 2015 and the worst Rumble show since 2006, which I think is the worst overall of all time. Do you agree? It's definitely, it's in the conversation. Moise A. A $9.99. I don't know why I watch WWE anymore. I expect so much more every time I watch. I'm just going to watch your shows to know what stupid thing they do each week. Thanks, Solomonster. That's why I'm here. There are so many people who don't watch anymore. They just tune into the streams and the podcast. I got you guys covered. All the important stuff, I got you covered. You don't have to worry. Hitman WA. I spent my Saturday night being COVID positive, sipping on ramen broth and watching the Rumble. The Rumble was the worst part of my night. Oh my God. He said that the Rumble for him was worse than COVID. Well, be that as it may, I hope you test negative very soon. And hopefully you are not having any horrible symptoms. KC to most. I hate this pay-per-view. Sacrificed everyone for two part-time wrestlers, one who is overexposed and the other who hasn't been on since Christ was a child. Javo Tenfold. If Veer doesn't debut by 2025, will he ever debut? Veer will never debut. Veer will go into the Hall of Fame one day, having not debuted. And his Hall of Fame video will be nothing but these clips they show on TV every week. Winston Smith with the $22 actually, dollar super chat. Decided to watch the 2001 Rumble today. Great show. What is your favorite Ivory match? Favorite? I don't think I have a favorite Ivory match. She's had some good matches, but I don't think I have one that I would consider a favorite. Gyro Splater has been a channel member for 4 months. He says, you hear about the Mania star catching fire? I guess that's a bad sign. Mia, we got Neer. Look at this. All the way from Israel. Neer is joining us live. My wife is getting better. Thanks for your support. I'm happy to hear it. And again, tell her I send my best. James Cooper, glad Stephanie invented women's wrestling for this. Yeah, we should all be grateful that Stephanie McMahon, she is the matriarch of women's wrestling. She started this whole revolution. Maruthi Ram, Finn Balor's career is done. Jobber role for Balor is coming soon. Coming soon. Did you not see the show last week? Coming soon. Lakers Pats won. That Aaliyah massive wedgie must have hurt. I LOL'd. Cac Burlington, Solomonster, I love your idea for a triple threat with Rollins, Roman, and Brock at WrestleMania. Rollins already mentioned his Money in the Bank cash-in at WrestleMania 31. Rollins is great. He deserves to be in that match. Jake Rohald, Mr. Solomonster. I made 500 Australian dollars betting on Brock and Ronda to win their Rumbles. Only right that I share some of that love with the best. Well, thank you, Jake. Jake is sharing in his massive winnings tonight. Maruthi Ram, if WWE keeps disappointing with such pay-per-views, do you think this is time for AEW to use it as an advantage by showing better content? I mean, I think in their eyes, they're already showing good content. You may not think it's that good. What? I mean, it's almost like, have they been intentionally not showing good content? Waiting for the right moment to pull out good content? I don't really understand that. I mean, what more could they do? What you see is what you get. You either think it's good or it's bad. I mean, they could put together some big matches, I guess, but I think by this point, the AEW content is what it is. I don't think they're hiding the good content. It's not locked away in a closet somewhere. Samoan fan, where was Cesaro, Finn Balor, or Apollo Crews? Well, it was more important to have Shane McMahon and Bad Bunny and Johnny Knoxville in the Royal Rumble. Maruthi again. Oh my goodness, I think we're almost done. Maruthi says Roman Reigns interruption similar to Goldberg's interruption in the Lesnar and Guerrero match in 2004. Similar. It's a good point. Very similar. Jamin John, thoughts on AJ Styles and Petey Williams and Chris Sabin Ultimate X match in 2005. I thought it was awesome. Oh, I haven't seen that match in years. I mean, I remember the Styles, Daniels, and Joe from Unbreakable. I remember that. And I've seen that since. I don't think I've seen that match probably since 2005. I know I saw it, but I don't remember much about it, so. And Pygmy Days. Old Pygmy. At least the sign gave the night a highlight. Indeed it did. That sign was on fire tonight. Was the WrestleMania star. Holy crap. It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning here on the East Coast. We just got hit by a blizzard, so I can't go anywhere. My car is buried. My car is buried more than Finn Balor, sitting outside in the street. I won't be moving that thing for a week. But thankfully, the power didn't go out. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to watch the Rumble or stream for you guys. But thankfully, everything is in working order. I do want to thank you for staying up late with me and, again, choosing me for your Royal Rumble coverage. Even here, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. And we still have over 2,600 people joining me. Look at this. Look at this. We're 10 likes away from 1,000. 10. We're so close. But I want to thank everybody for your super chats and all the nice messages. And joining me for all the other streams this week. We've done a lot of streaming. I am supposed to be recording episode 741 of the podcast in a few hours. I don't know when that's going to get done. I will tell you right now. I don't even think I'm going to set an alarm. I think I'm just going to sleep until whenever. But at some point tomorrow, there will be a podcast. There will be a podcast. We'll talk more fallout from the show. And a lot of other stories to get into as well. I mentioned the WWE Network and Disney thing. The Indonesia story. That story's not about Indonesia. There's a bigger issue when it comes to that story. There's something much bigger to consider when it comes to that. We just hit 1,000 likes, guys. We hit 1,000 likes for the stream tonight. I thank you. And we have Maruthi, congratulations, he says, with the $2. Thank you. Devin Garcia. Iron Sheik will make his way to the ring at WrestleMania before Veer debut. That's right. Bobby Heenan said that the Iron Sheik would get to the ring from the Gimmick Battle Royal. It would take him until WrestleMania 38. Well, here we are. It's going to be WrestleMania 38. Elijah says, point to the 1,000K sign. All right, let's pretend the sign is behind me. There we go. If I had a sign on hanging from the ceiling that said 1,000 likes, I'd be pointing to. I can't set off any pyro, though, because I'll burn the house down. And Boots. At least no one dove headfirst into the LED screen when running into the ring. Oh, my goodness. Well, listen. Congratulations again to the Wrestle Rumble winners. And thank you for the 1,000 likes. Thank you to the well over close to 4,000, I think, that we had on the stream tonight. I'm going to be back with you on Wednesday night. I'm going to be live for AEW Dynamite. And that'll be the next live stream. One more look at the poll here. Not a good look for the Royal Rumble. Only 11% thumbs up. This will go down as one of the worst Royal Rumble events, I do believe, that WWE has ever done. And certainly the Men's Rumble will go down as one of the worst, one of the most boring Royal Rumbles that they have ever done. And makes me sad to say that, but that's just the way that it is. So, be well, stay safe, go get yourself some sleep. I know that I am about to do that myself. And I will see you guys again tomorrow for 741 and on Wednesday for the Dynamite stream. Thank you again. Take care, guys.